Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode of the show is brought to you by Auto Tempest. We haven't seen them in a while, but they back. That's right, Auto Tempest in the house. They've been pretty useful for me recently because I've been looking for a new car. Here's how Auto Tempest works. Basically, they save you time. That's pretty much it, right? You're looking for a car. You're going to pull up a dozen tabs on your browser. You're going to look through a million listings, and a bunch of them are going to be the same because everyone lists their car like on multiple platforms, right? You have to do a bunch of work, and it's like so divided, it's annoying. Auto Tempest takes all of that, brings it into one place for you. They have all the car sites, and they compare all those niche, smaller sites with the results from the big sites like eBay, AutoTrader, Cars.com, and Craigslist. We're talking all of Craigslist, folks. If you haven't been to Auto Tempest in a while, they have added a bunch of new sources of cars, so definitely go check those out. I have been on the hunt for a daily driver, which I actually found, and I used Auto Tempest to really help narrow it down. Autotempest.com, no specific codes or anything, just autotempest.com. It will save you time. We are also brought to you by Migliori luxury car care products. They're known for making the best of the best when it comes to car care. Their product line is handmade and poured right here in the USA in Connecticut. Migliori's Strata coating is a ceramic coating treatment you can easily apply yourself. It adds a ton of gloss, lasts over a year, and keeps your car looking great for longer in between washes, especially if you're somewhere like where I live in Los Angeles, where it doesn't get dirty so much as dusty. If you live by the ocean, you get that salt on there. It really protects from that. It's extremely hydrophobic, meaning water just sheets right off, making maintenance so much easier. Strata coating has over 100 positive reviews on Amazon, so check those out. And spring is here. Use code TST at checkout at miglioriwax.com. That's Migliori, Migliore, wax.com for 10% off their coatings. Also, Continental's in the house. You know, when you think about servicing your car, you think about oil, you think about filters, maybe you think about brake pads, right? What don't you think about? Rubber items that deteriorate and crack over time can cause you big problems, right? I'm talking about hoses, I'm talking about belts. And Continental is who you want to go to for your belts and your hoses. Continental is the maker of a lot. The tens of millions of Chrysler, Dodge, Ford, and GM vehicles come with Continental belts and hoses from the assembly line. They're also OE in the majority of BMWs and Volkswagens. And now Continental's got the aftermarket multi-V belt with the OE pedigree. That is an aftermarket belt for your car, but coming from the people who make the OE stuff. It's their OE technology series, belts that are fanatically engineered for perfect fit, form, and function. And Continental has an OE technology series multi-V belt for 98% of the vehicles on the road in the US and Canada. You get enough surprises working on cars and trucks. You get enough surprises driving cars and trucks. Don't make the belt be one of them. Go with the Continental OE Technology Series Multi-V belt. It's the one with the OE pedigree. To get the full story, visit oetechnologyseries.com. Alrighty then, on this episode of the show, it's just me and the Zack in studio. This is the Supra show, I guess we can call it, because although I haven't recorded it at the time I'm recording this intro, I suspect one day after the embargo, there will be a lot to talk about regarding the Supra. So that's probably what we're going to spend a lot of time doing. So here it is. It's me and Zack on the Smoking Tire Podcast, and whatever the fuck we end up talking about.
What's up, motherfuckers? It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. We're gonna drop in on the fact, hot take: Men in Tights is the best Robin Hood movie. Yeah, fight me, bitch. What's happening? It's the Smoking Tire.
Well, Prince of Thieves with the accent that changes every scene is pretty bad.
Oh yeah, no, Prince of Thieves. Except for
where are you from, Robin? England.
Yeah,
I was born in London.
He goes into the Bull Durham accent.
He goes in and out. It's really strange.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, there's a fun video that's like worst accents in movies, and that's definitely in
that's
there.
got to be one of them. But it's not as it can't be worse than put the Benny back in the banks.
What's that from?
That's Nicolas Cage attempting to have a deep Southern accent while getting mad at John Malkovich, who's holding his daughter's stuffed bunny. on Con Air.
Yeah, that's much worse.
Put the Benny. It's attempting to be Southern, but it actually sounds like he's doing a Forrest Gump
box.
Yeah, like a Forrest Gump thing.
Yeah, he does Elvis meets Forrest Gump.
Yeah, it's real fucking bad. Real bad.
That movie's in that video as well.
Yeah, follow my ass on Instagram, and then while you're at it, follow Zack's ass on fake Zack Clapman.
Yep.
You know it. You know how it is. Instagram is where the things are happening. I promise, because I'm producing today, to not fuck up the video so much. I'll try.
And buy our new shirts, boxy but great.
Oh, fuck. I should pull up our fucking merch shit, shouldn't I? If you go to thesmokingtire.com and click on the... oh, boy. What happened there? I typed it wrong. If you go to the store tab on thesmokingtire.com, it'll take you to Blip Shift, where for the next 2 weeks... until, what's the fucking sellout date? What do we got, 12 days left on this B? 12 days, 4 hours, 23 minutes, and 42 seconds from right now. We've got the boxy but great Volvo shirt, which is a tribute to racing station wagons and the movie Crazy People. Although a couple of fucking smart people tried to, like, call us out.
For what?
Because the line in Crazy People is boxy but good.
Yeah.
They're boxy, but they're good. But... I think the Blip Shift people are afraid of getting copyright stomped by Hollywood.
Yeah, and also if you're a fan of Volvo racing cars, great sounds better than good. Like,
well, I mean, yes, but good is still good.
Good is good.
Like boxy, but good is the line. And if you had the wheels in the air, like I think good would be better because that's the line.
Then it nails it.
Well, because it's the line.
Yeah.
It's a fucking movie quote. But if the Blip Shift guys, who I'm more than happy to work with, are afraid of treading on potential legal grounds, like I'm not gonna die on a fucking Volvo. I'm not gonna die on that hill. I'm not gonna die
sitting in front of the Senate.
Volvo wagon hill.
Matthew Farrell, did you make a shirt that infringed on the copyright of the movie Crazy People?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I was prepared to die on the Watch and Listen hill. The Watch and there's when we started doing the Watch and Listen podcast, my show about watches, which you can check it out at youtube.com/watch and listen podcast, or also at Shout Engine, iTunes, anywhere you get podcasts. If you're into watches, check that out. Do it in this room with Cameron Weiss. There's a guy, I don't know, I think he's out of Long Island or something, has a podcast called a YouTube channel called Watch and Learn, and he sent me a trademark infringement notice, but it's all good
because those are two different words.
It's all good. You know why it's all good? Because I got a motherfucking lawyer and I trademarked Watch and Listen. So fuck off.
And it's a different word than watch and learn.
It's totally a different,
right? Like, so we just
it is a completely.
How
different.
short was the post-it note your lawyer sent to him or his? Lawyer?
We never responded. We literally never responded to the complaint. I filed a trademark for Watch and Listen podcast. It goes into that register. People have 30 days to contest it, and no one contested it. And now I own the trademark to Watch and Listen podcast. So fuck out of here.
Yo, I'm suing this guy. He made a Watch and Listen podcast, and mine says Watch and Learn. And like, hey, Tony, learn and listen mean different things. Like, oh.
And also,
shit.
As it turns out, YouTube channels and video podcasts about watches are not the same thing. One is a podcast that happens to be on video. The other is a YouTube channel. These are not the same things in the eyes of trademark law.
That is good to know.
Bitch. If anyone needs a trademark lawyer, hit me up. I'm happy to make referrals to my guy.
Look for my new podcast, The Smoking Tire.
Don't fuck with my trademark, son. It's all about enforcement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I just noticed this, by the way, straight up. Go, everyone subscribe to Watch and Listen podcast. We're about to hit 20,000 subscribers on YouTube.
That's quick progress.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I'm having trouble making new content about with Watch and Listen because it's not common. There's not always new shit to talk about.
Right.
And even when there is new shit to talk about, sometimes the big deal about the new shit is like a new color.
Yeah. That's tough.
Like today, and I'm sorry for the car folks. I'm gonna go down a 2-minute watch rabbit hole, but just bear with me because so I went to see to the Sunset Tower in Hollywood, to a room guarded by like 6 dudes, where I got to see the case, which is all the new Baselworld watches.
These are concept cars, basically.
Pretty much. All the watches I saw did not have real movements in them. They have weights that are the size and shape of the movement, but they're not real movements.
Oh, okay.
And I suspect that is for tax and tariff reasons bringing these watches in and out of the country. They're
you
not
can't sell them.
Yeah, they're not real watches. They're
Yeah.
demo dummies. You know what I mean? And even if you're Rolex, you might have to pay tax if they were real prototypes to bring, whatever it is. I'm sure there's a reason. But like this watch right here, I'm showing is the new GMT Master in white gold with a dial made of meteorite, actual meteorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Meteorite. You know how like certain rocks like mica and other gemstones are just kind of like normal rocks until you cut them a certain way and then they become very beautiful, like tiger's eye,
Yeah,
rocks
totally.
like that. Meteorite's the same kind of thing. So you can get a kind of a hunk of meteorite like on eBay for, not nothing, but like what? Yeah,
It's an unrefined rock.
an
so yeah,
unrefined
yeah,
rock of
totally.
meteorite, and then Rolex has a process that they refine it and cut these thin dials, and they look very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the only new thing about this watch is that dial. Everything else has already been out. So
It's like if the new Mustang was just a different color.
right. Did you see this one, this Daytona?
I tried
You
to
must
look
have
at
loved
it.
this.
I called it a pachinko machine.
So Rolex is at the point right now where they've been very sort of like Lexus. Couple eight years ago. Remember when Lexus went from very conservative to fucking shredder?
Yeah.
Rolex is on the verge of becoming the shredder because they're indulging in some of their worst instincts.
This
such
is-
as this animal print dial Daytona with a diamond bezel in gold.
That's insulting to animals.
It's on a rubber strap and it's $105,000.
Well, the strap, like, you can change the strap, I guess. It's gold.
Nope.
It's covered.
Can't change the strap. That is the strap. I'm not kidding.
Look, I don't care about watches, but that's an error.
No, it's an exclusive thing. You
No,
can
I
only
believe
get
you.
that rubber strap with that watch. And then this I like. This is the new Sea
that's not a
Dweller
good idea.
in two-tone, gold and steel. I actually really like this.
Yeah, that's very good. And that's just very clean, simple looking.
Yeah, but the big story with this is that there's gold in it. Like they've been making this in steel for 50 fucking years.
Really?
They now make they made it in steel for a long time.
Did they never think to make gold? Like, I'm kind of surprised by this.
The Sea
speed of
Dweller,
progress.
yeah. So the Sea Dweller is always considered a professional's watch. It's a very deep diving watch. It's like deeper than a recreational diver would go. It has a helium escape valve in it, so
Okay.
that it doesn't like explode from on the way back up. Like you know how a human can get the bends. Like a watch can too.
Okay.
Believe it or not. And
I believe it.
on
Compression is
the on the
compression.
other side of the watch, the side opposite the crown is a little circular valve that can escape helium. So like this watch, as you can see, look, you can go to 400. Does it say 400 feet?
That's for 400 feet.
Yeah, 400 feet depth, which is like deeper than humans can't dive that.
No.
So anyway, but they've never made one in gold because it's always been a professional tool watch. The fact that it's gold is the big deal.
Okay.
And then this is the Rolex Yacht-Master. The big deal with this
Never
is
been made
instead
in
of
black.
being 40 millimeters, it's 42. That's the big story here.
Whoa.
Yep. And by the way, that's
I gotta sit down and
that
calm
was my
down.
favorite watch I put on. That watch rules.
It's got a nice shape to it.
It's very lovely. Ask me how much that
Flatter.
cost. Guess.
I'm gonna be mad no matter what you
Mm-hmm.
say. No, that's not true. It looks like a frisbee for everybody who's listening. It's
It has
like
a
it's not
rubberized
It's not
bezel.
just raised around it. It's rubber bezel.
It's a rubberized bezel. Yeah, so that it's got a rubberized kind of texture. Yeah.
It's probably like 40.
At 28.
Oh,
Not
okay.
bad. Not bad. White gold.
You know.
Yeah. If it was steel,
It's
it
a
would
lot.
be 12. And then this is all diamonds. This is called the day date. It has the day and the date, also known as a president.
I feel like I'm looking into a headlight that's turned off.
All diamonds. Diamonds on the president bracelet as well. 125,000.
You know what? The problem with something like that is if that was not if you took that exact style and you just didn't make it with diamonds, you'd see it in a claw grabber game at a bowling alley. And
Yeah.
you'd probably be like, why would you want that? It's just because it's made of high quality stones, but it looks crazy.
Well, the president does have a couple of things going for it. One, you can't get it in steel. You can only get that watch in a precious metal. So that particular one was platinum. You can get it in yellow gold also. That's it. That's Tony Soprano's watch. That's the
one covered in diamonds with the
no.
rainbow
He
shit?
had it in yellow gold.
Oh.
But Tony Soprano rocked a yellow day date. Tony, look, I'll show you.
They're really good at withstanding the force of punching people in the head. The G forces.
100%. Look, here you go. Here's Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Tony right here. He's looking good. Tony looks really fucking good. And if I fucking punch right in, let me get down and dirty. There it is. That's the yellow gold Rolex president right there.
Did you say my jeweled watch is ugly? Did you say that? I bought it for my wife. Come over here, Clapman.
Anyway, that's your watch nerdery of the day. How do we get? I forgot how we got started. Oh, because I was doing the Watch and Listen podcast trademarks.
Correct.
That's why.
Yes.
So anyway, but though, like, okay, new color, new material, new size. You know what I mean? It's and watches, you know, are neat if you're into machinery and stuff, but they're not dynamic like cars. So
Yeah.
it's tough to do
Makes
a podcast
sense.
about watches because unless you want to go, well, this hairspring is made of a silica alloy, and this hairspring is made of a rubberized silica alloy, and then it's like fucking just Nerd Quest 3.0. And
Well, I think you've put up a good resource. You just learned that you can't make that podcast every week. Or, you know.
or you need to
twice
be
a week or
nerdier
whatever.
than me to do. Yeah, I hit the wall.
That's okay.
There's only so nerdy you can be.
Well, there's a lot of shows I listen to now that they make 6, and that's a season. Like, I mean, serial, but also
That was
like
how content
Reply
was.
All. Yeah, it's how it was, and I think there's a lot of shows that go back to that. They just have multiple shows.
Yeah. All right. So we still live and direct. We got the super chat going on, and I think we're gonna blow up the super chat right now because I want to talk about the Supra.
Oh yeah,
Everyone
Yeah.
has something to say about the Supra.
Yeah.
And if you have questions about it, now is your time to ask. So the Supra, my video's up, my Just the Noise video, as well as my track test. The video is doing well. Obviously, it was mildly annoying that Toyota decided the embargo should be at 3 p.m. on a Sunday. Although it was annoying for us, but I had to say, I think that was quite brilliant for Toyota because by making the embargo on a Sunday, Toyota pretty much guaranteed that whatever day of the week you normally release videos, fucking this week, your video's going up Sunday.
That's
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think all of those, everyone who dropped a video on Sunday, none of those people normally drop videos on Sundays.
Yeah.
I gotta
You-
give a
you
shout.
owned the day.
I gotta give a shout out to Demuro on that one. Demuro went, "Fuck this! My videos don't go up on Sundays," and he put his up on a Monday. Which like at 3:03 p.m. I was like, I wonder if I would have caught a better second wave by going up at the normal Monday time instead of the Sunday. But it does annoy me that Toyota did. It annoys me when any manufacturer makes an embargo on a weekend. I don't know why they do it. It
Well-
could be because 3 p.m. our time is midnight GMT, you know, and it's a
Maybe.
global thing.
Midnight Japan or something like
Yeah,
that.
I don't know. But it's
Japan ahead or
no,
behind
it would be
us?
GMT maybe,
Okay.
if anything.
I think GMT is like 9 hours ahead. So yeah,
that would
might
three.
make
Yeah,
sense.
that would be midnight GMT on
So
the
maybe
Monday,
that's what it was.
which I find mildly inconvenient. But anyway, the Supra's back.
I think
A lot of
it's
people have a
pretty
lot
good
to
looking.
say.
I think it's pretty good looking. I know it has a couple of like flawed designs, but I think overall, it's almost like a way better looking Z4. Like Z3, Z4 coupe.
Yeah, it has that shape.
Has that
I
shape. I
think
think
unless you see one in person, it's tough to get the scale of it. The fact that it looks like that FT1 concept that was paraded around for a while, but it is not. And it's
The FT1 was bigger, I believe.
well, the FT1 was like a foot bigger,
Yeah.
like a foot longer. It's literally the size of the 86.
The current Supra is the size of the 86.
The current Supra is basically the size
Yeah.
of the 86.
It looks larger in pictures.
Let me.
but in person,
I can play our fucking video on this show, can't I? I'm gonna mute it, but
It's a good question.
yeah, I can play our show on our show, and I'll just leave this on in the background. I hope this works and doesn't get too choppy in the stream, but ignore the video. Sorry. I'm trying to I'm watching myself talk on video. Get back in the room, Farah. So it's small, right? And they had BR 86s, on hand. And to get in an 86 and to get in a Supra, they feel like the same size car, but the Supra feels more substantial, whereas the 86 feels a little more, like tinny and hollow
Right.
kind of thing.
I think it is. What's the weight difference between 86
BRZs
and Supra?
are I keep saying BRZs, but 86s are what, 2,800, 27, between 27 and 2,800, I believe.
Even if you call it 3, the Supra is what, 35?
It's 3390. Yeah. So all Supras, the cheapest one is 50. The most expensive one, the launch edition, is 57. All you get for that top launch edition trim is a special color and contrast mirror caps and bullshit. The premium is the sweet spot. That's the middle one. You get leather, you get the better nav, you get the better radio, and you also, the only hardware difference is going to be the rear brakes are a ½ inch larger in the premium.
Okay. So any model comes with like LSD. They all come with
They all
the same
come with an
suspension.
electronic LSD.
Okay.
I don't know. Sorry. They all come with electronic LSD. They all come with the same engine, same gearbox, same brake calipers, same wheels and tires. The wheels and tires come in different color options, but that's really it.
Okay.
Pilot Super Sport is the standard tire. I asked why it wasn't the 4S, and that is because they started developing the tire before the 4S came out.
Or the car?
The car
Oh,
and
okay.
the tire for the car.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, it's still a good tire. It's it's not as
I have
good
no
as
issues with the
4S, but
tire.
yeah.
I just asked out of curiosity why it wasn't the new tire.
And another interesting thing, you said the wheelbase was shorter than the 86, right?
Yeah, 3 inches shorter, but 3
Significant.
inches wider.
Yeah.
And much wider tires, better tires and wider tires. Look, it feels like the next logical step up from something like an 86 or a 370Z. You know what I mean? It feels like a step up in performance from that. It feels like a step up in refinement from a Mustang or a Camaro or a 370Z. Its closest competitor, Porsche would love you to believe, is a Cayman. I don't really buy that. I think the closest competitor is probably the M2.
Oh, absolutely.
If someone wanted a cross shop, it's the M2. So many people, I offered myself up on Reddit to answer questions, and it was all like Supra versus this, Supra versus this, Supra versus this. And that brings my personal tastes into the equation, which I don't.
Of course.
My verdict on the Supra is it's a little BMW-y. I don't really see that as being a bad thing. It's got some Toyota character to it. It's got some Japanese character as well. I think they thought maybe it was a little too BMW in how it drove, and so they said we should make it extra Japanese in the styling department. But the B58, I don't know if it'll handle 1,000 horsepower, but it certainly has already proven to make strong power with the basics,
Yeah,
the bolt-ons
that's true.
and stuff.
That's true.
It's got the 8-speed, which people have been complaining about, the ZF. This is the best tune I've seen of the, and I don't have any reason to fucking. No one's paying me to say this shit. If the car wasn't any good, I'd tell you. I mean, so.
I mean, are people just really complaining? They're not complaining that they chose that automatic. Are they complaining that they don't have a manual?
Look,
or are they saying you should have a DSG?
People, yeah, I know they're complaining it's not a manual.
Of course, and to take.
And I don't know if there was a manual, maybe they'd buy it, maybe they wouldn't.
I bet
I don't know.
there will be. I would bet some money there will be a special edition manual. I was talking to Ryan Lewis and Bozy about this on Twitter. And Bozy looked up, he did an article on this in January, actually, where he looked at, the pedal box would fit 3 pedals. Yeah. It's already the same bulkhead for it.
Well, they sell a manual Z4 in
Europe.
Exactly.
All the pieces would probably bolt in. It's just a matter of, will they put it in?
They made it
Special
sound
edition,
like,
sure.
and I don't, who knows? Their messaging could be whatever they want it to be, but they made it sound like it was a stretch to get this car to exist at all. And any future editions of it depend on whether people buy it like this.
Fair.
You know what I mean? It's not if this version tanks, and they really should have put a manual in it and not just what they did, and it tanks completely. They're not going to fix that by putting a manual in it.
No, I mean,
they're going to
the numbers
stop.
don't
They're going to
work.
not make it. And also, I also think that I'm not trying to be like old angry guy, but the Supra back in the day was crazy expensive for what you got. like crazy expensive. Now, as it turns out, it was durable and overbuilt, and that might have been part of why it was so expensive. But like this Supra, the new one, is priced where it should be priced. Like a 97 Supra, I looked up this morning. A 97 Supra was $57,000 in 97. A Corvette Grand Sport, like an end of the run final edition C4 Corvette, like that same year, was 43 grand. It was 13 G's less.
What is
20% less.
What is that money in 2019 money? Like 70? Probably.
I mean, I don't know. Let's find out. What
Google
is
inflation calculator?
Yeah. Hang on, I'll find out.
1997 money.
Let's see. 56,000. Is that thousand?
There you go.
In 1907. Let's see. Inflation calculator. 56,097 is.
Survey says.
Where'd it go? 87 G's.
grand.
Okay, so if you got, let's say you got a Supra that was the same in every way as what you got, except let's say it had a new, a developed 2JZ in it, and maybe a manual, but it was $90,000. Now what are you complaining?
You know what you have? You have the LC 500.
Yeah, exactly.
You do.
Yeah.
And that's, I think a lot of people were asking, and I was one of them in the beginning, like, why didn't they build this on the LC platform, which is beautiful, and it's a great GT car, and all those things. And I think it's the LC is priced down market from its competitors, which is why it's attractive. But if there's not a ton of room between where the Supra is priced now at the special edition and where the LC starts, you know, yes, it's like $25,000, $30, but with the special edition, other things, like, they'd run into each other really quickly.
Right. This had to be splitting the difference between the 86, which is like 25 to 32 grand, right? And the LC, which starts in like the high 80s.
Yeah.
So building a $50,000 car, $50 to $57,000 car is smart. Like
It is. And something that's come up is a lot of people ask, why didn't Toyota build their own inline six? And I know if you guys have read the reviews, basically it would cost too much. They have to build a new factory.
Yeah.
So while the LC would be a great platform size-wise and looks-wise and shape, it doesn't come with an inline six.
Just because you're a Toyota doesn't mean you can make a business case for always having an engine. Like, if you're a manufacturer and you're going to build a new engine, and that engine isn't going to go in like 4 different things, you're not building that engine.
Yeah.
Like the days of, you know what I mean? The days of Toyota. Well, no, even at the time, like that, the JZ engine did go in a bunch of different shit.
Starting in like the 70s.
Yeah, it went in a bunch of different stuff at the time. And sports cars are a shrinking market. Obviously, enthusiasts will be enthusiastic, but you cannot develop a brand new sports car engine unless they decided, without doing it with somebody else.
I think people wanted them to treat like an LFA, like money is no object, build it as how we want, but then you can't charge LFA prices for it.
Right.
You can't build a factory around it, and like you said, it's a shrinking market.
Interestingly enough, speaking of the LFA, they brought up LFA a few times, and one of the things I found interesting, I go, remember that fucking big carbon loom?
Yeah.
I go, what is that doing now? What happened to the big carbon loom? He goes, you know what that thing's doing? It's making trunk lids for the the Mirai.
Whoa,
I think
weird.
the Mirai and does Toyota have a fuel cell vehicle too?
The Mirai is their fuel.
Is that the fuel cell? Yeah. Like whatever that is, it's got a carbon trunk, and that loom is now making its trunk.
Oh, it's very weird.
Isn't that weird?
It's doing very different things.
Yeah, but they said because of the LFA, their $25,000 fuel cell car now has a carbon trunk.
It's a good thing machines don't have feelings. You'd be like, hey, we know you like the LFA project, but now you're going to make trunks for the Mirai.
Well,
like,
actually,
the
the guy's Calty. You know what Calty is? Calty.
like Calty, the design. Yeah.
Calty Design. So Calty Design is a studio. Calty Design Research. This is just the Wikipedia, but they are here in California in Newport Beach. Let me see if I can get some kind of I don't know what they work. They have a very glamorous looking, really glamorous looking office like everywhere else, and they are a design center for Toyota and Lexus. Here's the FT1 concept, which is interesting to now that I see this thing with a bunch of people behind it in this image. Holy shit, that FT1 is big. The FT1 is the size of like
big.
the LC500.
Yeah, and
much bigger than
the
the
roof line
Supra.
swoops almost like a GTR-ish type thing.
Yeah. God, the FT1 looks good.
Oh, when it came out, it like
Yeah.
everybody
It
knocked
looked
everybody in
hot.
their ass. It's beautiful. You
So-
can see, like that the duct right in front of the rear wheel is huge on the FT1, and they have that styling element in the Supra, but it obviously doesn't like really go anywhere.
Yeah, those are fake. But Calty, they design this, but they also design, much more mundane stuff.
Of course, everybody does.
A lot of the time. And so a couple of the Calty people were there and they were, they're very proud of the Supra. Like everyone who's there is like so proud of the car. They were so nervous that we wouldn't like it. Like, and they were, I thought everybody was there liked it, But the guy was like the main designer guy who I sat next to at dinner was like, yeah, this is, I was literally working on like a box van like a couple months before this, He's like, so when they said sports car, any sports car, it's like a dream come true for someone like me to design any sports car.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think so. What did you think about interior materials and things? Because I know that at first everyone complained about the font, and then one of the
font
guys
is the BMW font, which is mildly annoying.
It's annoying, but one of the guys from Top Gear magazine UK wrote like a really good piece. It basically almost was like stream of consciousness, and you could feel his confliction as he drove the car. And the research he did was to change the reason you have those fonts is because you need the BMW computer because you have a BMW engine.
Shit, I apologize. Did I leave the fucking? I must have left some shit up for a minute. Sorry.
But to change all those fonts requires so much coding; it would cost millions of dollars.
Was that this?
Yes, I think it was.
No.
It would just it's. How much money did they spend on the program? Could they have spent millions to recode it to change all the fonts? We don't know. Because I agree. If you get in the car, if you close your eyes when you get in the car and you look around and you go, "This is a BMW font." It says BMW. Turn it on. It doesn't. But like
there are
that
certain
would be
things-
annoying. But when you look around, like, what about switchgear? Is there a thing like I wish they
right.
could have changed this stuff?
So the gauges don't feel very BMW. The steering wheel is not very BMW. The shifter, center console, iDrive, like that's 100% BMW. The radio buttons on the dash are 100% BMW. It's like it's half and half. Wait, let me see. Is my
You have interior
here's
shot?
my interior shot here? Hang on. Oh no, hold please. It's nope, it happened. Further back, engine. Oh man.
You could just Google interior.
I also can do that too. Sorry. It's somewhere in between. Like it really is. Like the air vents look like Toyota, and the then looks like BMW. Like you can pick some of both. Like it really is some of both. Like the MMI system, there it is 100%. God damn it, I missed it. The MMI system is 100% BMW, and that's frustrating. And I understand why that could. Why does that keep going back to the same place always when I cut to it? That's really bizarre. Anyway, I know what you mean with the font. I remember when Shelby, when Ford went from the 2009 to the 2010 GT500s, and they went from a little badge on the side to a big badge that went all the way across the hood with the letters spread like 6 inches out, like they do it now.
Right.
Right. And Jamal Hamidi told me that cost $2 million.
Whoa!
To do that. And so I completely understand that everything costs money. But, if you don't change the font from what BMW does, you're going to invite this kind of criticism.
True.
Like, they were allocated resources. They used those resources in other places. Whatever the decisions were, I don't know. Look, maybe who knows? Like maybe to change that font meant we couldn't have adaptive shocks, or something like that.
True. Yeah.
So,
you never know. Or they may regret not doing that, even though it would have cost $5 million of coding. They go, fuck, because right now we have $5 million. What if they get $10 million of negative press because people talk about the font so much?
I mean, look,
regret, but you never know.
You interact with this stuff. I will say that, like, I think I'm taking a more optimistic approach about the Supra. There's people that are really ragging on it for feeling like a BM. Imagine describing a Toyota sports car as sharing DNA with BMW and that being a fucking problem. I mean, we're talking about fucking Toyota. I get that they had made sports cars before, but like they haven't made a really good one like a really long time.
Well, and the last Supra didn't drive great. You could set it up well, but it was like a heavy, big thing. And
that brings you to the other thing, which is that the Supra didn't become cool until the Fast and the Furious, which came out 4 years after they stopped selling the fucking thing. And B, durability and tunability became a virtue. And so there's a lot of judgment on the internet right now about it being a BMW and therefore not being reliable. But like, I don't think BMW engines are known for not being reliable. I think BMW electronics and they can have issues. They can be expensive to keep running. But like,
well, I mean, I think I've railed on this before. The whole like bulletproof statement, I think, is false for most cars because like we all like to say it's bulletproof, but I think rotating assembly is different from maintenance. So if you have like I would want to ask someone who owns a bone stock Supra, like how many sensors break on your car per year or per 5 years? That's what I'd want to compare to, because I have a BMW. Sensors overheat. This glue overheats. They didn't use the right glue for that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of parts around the rotating assembly that don't last that long, and that's really annoying. You had like your relay in the Porsche. You
like the Lexus, the LS400. Like the engine was fucking bulletproof, but that doesn't mean the power steering pump didn't leak everywhere.
Right.
And the fucking alternator kept pooping out. You know what I mean? So the engine being bulletproof doesn't mean the rest of the car was perfect.
Very true. I think but German cars don't have the best history with electronics either.
Right.
So you have all their electronics.
But the BMW Turbo 6 engine that they've been making since, 08 or 09, whenever the E92 335 came out, right? Like, that engine so far, other than the fuel pump thing, which was like fixed, but like in the aftermarket, those engines are known to be pretty stout. I mean, if you go to any runway event in Southern California, there's a shitload of turbo 3-liter powered BMWs.
True.
With fucking 450 to 500 written on the windshield.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think they can take a lot. I think I would want people, hopefully, if you guys are listening, like chime in the comments with how your 335, 135, M2, M3s have been if you've kept them stock, or if you modified them slightly. If someone's at 900 horsepower and they're like, I keep blowing these cam timing sensors, it's like, well, you have 900 horsepower. But because I don't know, so I don't want to like speak out of school about how good they've been or how bad they've been. I think people they're attached to two different reputations. One, they're attached to Toyota having the reputation of everything works forever like a Camry, which isn't really fair to say that a Supra will do the same thing like a Mark IV Supra. And then they go, oh, well, these older Supras could take 900 horsepower on stock internals, therefore everything in the car works, which is also could be false.
Not true. I was like, Toyota had a period of time, like most Japanese manufacturers, in like the early 2000s, where it seemed they were overbuilding the cars. Lexuses, early 2000s Lexuses.
They had all the money.
They had a lot of money, and they really put resources into the cars. And yeah, like the 2JZ is like a great engine, but like, that Supra like was not a sales success. You know what I mean? Like, and we're nostalgic for it now under semi-false pretenses.
I think that's totally accurate. We love it because I love it when I first saw it online and it laid 11s on the highway. I was like, what the fuck is that? And so I hold those up to a very high regard, but I never looked at them as this will be a perfect sports car that will have perfect turn-in and, balanced oversteer and stuff, which they have now. They're better. They're probably a better driver's car now than they were back then.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want to take an old
I drove
Supra.
it on the canyons. It had stock brakes.
Yeah, it sucked.
It needed twice as many brakes.
Yeah. The old Supra is within 30 pounds of the new one, and it's within a couple of inches dimensionally. They're very, very close in size. But, the difference with the new one is you've got a much wider power band. You've got more torque, 50 more pounds of torque. It comes on 4,000 RPM earlier. No, sorry. Excuse me. What's What's 4,000 minus 1,600? That's the difference.
2,400.
2,400 RPM earlier. 1,600 RPM peak torque versus 4,000 peak torque. And then you have the new one is peak horsepower is 6,500 versus the old one peak horsepower is 5,600.
So but wait, peak torque is 1,600 RPMs. You said that's really low. I mean, it's
1,600.
That's how BMW turbo engines are nowadays. Which I think you may lose some of the character of turbo engines of yore, where like you can sit in a little bit and rev it up and feel it come on. If it just does it come on progressively, or does it punch you at 1,600 like the M4 used to?
It doesn't feel like it wants to blow the tires off. No,
Okay.
I didn't do the old stomperoo.
No.
And they said it has launch control, but launch control with torque converter gearboxes is bullshit anyway, so I didn't fuck with it. But what impressed me the most was that it had the balance and approachability of the 86, right? Like it had this very flexible gray area where you could balance, oversteer, and understeer and make the car move without it getting too scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could within a few laps find where that area started, play in that area for 20 or 30 laps, and then on lap 30 you're doing real actual slides. The video you saw my driving around lap 25. I ended up doing lap like 60. And it's going to sound like real douchey to be like, my driving was better later in the video. But like literally by the end, I was sliding every corner. I almost was like, fuck, I'm going to bring the video cameras back out again. But like I had to go to the airport. But, the car has a very wide comfort zone to play in. And then you can add from there. I mean, does that mean I wouldn't be happy with 100 extra horsepower? Like, no, I'd love 100 extra horsepower. Like, could the car handle 100 extra horsepower? Like, yeah, definitely could. But we're talking about for this car to be fun out of the box and me to keep going back on the track and doing 60 laps, I think is a pretty good sign. It's a good, fun car.
Well,
like,
and what we expect from a sports car has changed too.
Yeah, like what would really have made people happy that are aside from them literally just going, yeah, we're just going to start making the Mark IV again. Like, what would have really made people happy?
I think if they made an interior that was their own, and if you couldn't tell it was a BMW inside, that would probably have taken that off the table.
What fucking idiot prefers a Toyota interior to a BMW? Have you been in a Toyota recently? And you'd prefer that to a BMW interior?
No, but people like things to be unique. They don't. That's what they want.
People don't know what's good for them. People don't know what's
Very
good
true.
for them. They had fucking 86s right next to the Supra. That had a Toyota interior.
Yeah, but that's
trust me, you don't want that
that's
shit.
very cheap Toyota.
I rode to the thing in a $44,000 RAV4. That wasn't better.
Just gray buttons.
Just
a lot of gray
it's
buttons.
Toyota. Like Toyota's, there's nothing wrong with Toyota, but like you're telling me like people have used BMW button feel as the gold standard for like 2 fucking decades. Toyota uses them, and now people complain. That's fucking
People
lunacy.
will always complain.
Has anyone told these people what Maserati is charging for Quattro Portes? They're going to burn the fucking place down. When you find out you could buy a $130,000 Quattro Porte with 300C buttons.
Oh, Chrysler 300.
Yeah. Does anyone know this? I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
I think a lot of people know that, and they make fun of it a lot.
lunacy.
I think people will always find something to complain about.
Yeah.
I think they are holding the old Supra in too high a regard falsely.
Yeah.
And that is tainting how they judge this one.
I agree. I think the love for the Supra is partially under not false pretense, because it's not a bad car, but rose-colored. Let's call it rose-colored glasses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And I think you said this the other day, that people are comparing it to the GTR. It has that same legendary status, but the GTR was like a road course master for its existence.
Yeah.
And I know that the old Supras, if you set them upright, can do very well, but they're not as good. Their aim coming out was like, it's a great GT car. Yes, you can set it for the track, or Osbo set one up for drifting and killed it, but like out of the box, it was long nose, short-ish wheelbase, strong engine, like GT car.
Yeah, no, I mean, they have the LC500 for that. And the
Yes, they do.
LC500's sick.
Yeah, it is. It's very good.
LC500.
And that also, that interior, I like half of the LC interior and I don't like half of it. So I think
like all of
Toyota
it that's
can't do
not the
perfect.
mouse.
I don't like the mouse and I don't like the rectangle of HVAC controls that just kind of goes across. It's it's just, it looks out of place because the gauges are so nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's fun to drive because I think that's what's more important these days with sports cars. I think back in the day you could go, oh, it's really powerful and it leaned a lot, but it's quick-ish and da-da-da. And now it's like,
I mean, look,
people are so attentive about understeer and steering feel and dead points in the middle.
Yeah.
Like you have to get all that right. So I'd rather have them get that right.
They did. The steering felt sharper than the 86.
Okay.
It was faster and had better brakes than the 86. It feel, you know, if you don't drive fast cars for a living, it's a fucking fast car.
Mm-hmm.
Like it goes, you know. The car, I didn't go as fast as the car could go. The car could go faster than me. You know, that doesn't mean I wouldn't enjoy a little more power, but like nevertheless, like this is a very fun car, and you know, the people are preemptively complaining about reliability, but it was hot out. It was like 83, 84 degrees, humid. It was, these cars were only on track. They were never, they didn't go on the street. They were and they were running stock pads, stock fluid. And I had the air conditioning on max
For 20 laps at a time? Like
for probably, my longest session, I think, may have been 10, 11 laps. I was allowed to do as many laps as I wanted.
Which is, for people that don't know, it's rare at a press launch. Like
Yeah.
a lot of times it's 3 and then a cool down again or something
No,
like that.
it was full open track as much as you wanted to drive for 7 hours almost.
Wow.
I drove so
good.
much. I drove 4 different Supras and 2 different 86s. I drove a lot. But like the car takes a beating. Like there are cars that can't do that. Like some of them are really expensive too. Like we've had on shoot days and stuff like that, like really expensive sports cars that shit out if you try and do 10 laps.
Even some of them have lots of fins and have lots of R, like an R in the name.
Or that set the brakes on fire or whatever. Like, and this thing was like hot day, full crank AC, banging the rev limiter, drifting. Didn't give a fuck. The temp gauge right in the middle. Didn't move. It was great. It was nice. And then honestly, you put it in comfort mode, and like it was comfortable. You know, it's a small car. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was very surprised by the size.
The cabin is small and it feels like it's cushy. You know, they try and make it cushy so things are like, you know, cushy.
Yeah.
But the cushiness is kind of, you know,
Mini Viper.
a little bit Mini Viper, a little bit Mini Viper, a little bit Z4, a little bit Z4, a little bit M Coupe,
Right.
ish kind of thing. But fun. But really, you know, if you went out and you spent $55,000 on one, I can almost guarantee you your money is well spent.
It's objectively fun and good, and it's subjectively there's depends on who's asking. They're gonna have
some people may have a philosophical issue with its very existence. I mean, Chris Harris I saw on Twitter was disappointed.
Nuts, right?
I don't fucking know why. I've never heard him say one nostalgic thing about any Toyota sports car ever. All of a sudden, Chris is a Toyota purist. When the fuck has he ever said a thing about a Toyota?
Well, yeah, he just drove that one the other day. The takeaway from the other Top Gear rider was conflicted. At the end, same thing. He's like it's good, it drives good, it handles, it does the driving well.
Yeah.
How you feel about where some of the parts come from and everything else is kind of up to you. He was a little bummed about it, and I know I'm just referring to another rider, but it's because I haven't driven the car yet. So that's as much as I can say.
Yeah,
and it's a hot topic.
I can take a much more, you can say pragmatic, you can say optimistic, whatever it is. Like, is the car good or is the car bad? I think pretty objectively it's good. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody was like, this is not a good thing. You know what I mean?
And the reliability thing we'll come to see, honestly. Like, we can speculate about it a lot.
Yeah.
And I know I'm guilty of, like, if someone asks what pickup truck they should buy. Like, do you want to own it for 20 years? Toyota. Do you want to lease it for 2 years? Get the Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because I can't tell you that the 2.3 turbo will be perfect or not perfect, but I can't sit there and go, oh, it's totally going to break, because we don't know. Unless it says Alpha on it.
So that's pretty much. Unless someone else has any questions, get in the super chat.
It'd be fun to drive.
We'll get to your questions in a little bit. But that's between that and the video, I think those are the thoughts.
Those are the thoughts.
I would like to get one, down the road as a press car
Sure.
and do a bunch of things with it.
Yeah.
I think I would like to see, how it is. But I drove it 100 miles in the street. It was fine.
I think they'll be popular because you're basically getting, like you said, you're getting an M2 that looks, I think, better and really, it's a cool looking design. It's a very classic shape.
For me, if you're big like me, you'd probably prefer the M2. You know what the worst part was about the Supra? Let me get a picture. I can show you. By far, what happened here? By far the worst part of the Supra, I need to find the right picture of it. I'll use a white car is the one I want to use. Yeah, here we go. Is going to be right here. Oh, no. I hope that, I don't know what that was looking at before. Well, I'm sorry if that was just questions before. If I was delinquent in my producing duties, I apologize. But right here at the where the side roof line comes down.
Yep.
So it's the part of the roof where the top of the driver's door meets the roof line. Mm-hmm. Now that section of roof line, like the Nissan GTR, droops down quite far. So when you're sitting in the car, your head is kind of up inside this sort of bubble.
Gotcha.
And it droops down so far that the vanity visor mirrors don't, how they fold, most mirrors fold down and then swivel over to the side.
Yep.
It droops down so far the mirrors don't swivel to the side or the visors don't swivel to the side, because if they did, they'd only be blocking black
Wow.
cloth. Yeah.
So you're wearing a hat.
So you're wearing a hat, like a Camaro. Like I describe it as driving a hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like that.
Okay.
And so although I at 6'3" can fit in the car, I my head is hitting the roof with a helmet. I got about an inch without a helmet.
Well,
but
right. Tight fit.
So I can sit, okay in the car. To get in, I have to duck. I got to duck my head low as fuck. I got to really crunch into like a C.
It's like you're joining someone's umbrella.
To actually get in and out. And I physically can't do it with a helmet on. I had to get in the car and then put the helmet on in the car. So that's really something to consider. And again, I'm talking about this side of the roof here, and the photograph we're looking at, it doesn't really, because we're elevated a little bit, it's a bad droop. So the M2 for me, for the same money, I need the more uprightness of the M2. But if you want a little more sportscarness,
How was the seat? How high was the seat off the ground or off the floor? Like, did it seem like
it's
a lot of
pretty low.
distance, or could you drop it more if you were a tall person and you got aftermarket seats, which is then means you have to pay more money?
It's got like 14-way power seats. The seats are 100% BMW. Like they feel like the BMW like 3 Series, like the regular 3 Series seats. Like when I sat in the seat, I was just like, oh yeah, that's a BMW seat. And there's nothing so bad about that. Like BMW seats are fine. Like there's nothing. I'm not like, again, pining for a Toyota seat. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you could probably make the seats lower if they were aftermarket. You'd also probably save a lot of weight because a 14-way power seat is heavy as fuck.
Very heavy. Right, so if you're tall and you want one, you might have to do that, which sucks. And again, I can fit, but it's really if you are wearing a helmet, or if you have neck or back issues like I have. Yeah.
And it is small. Like it's a small car.
Yeah, it's a 2-seat, right? There's no rear seat. Like it's
no rear seat.
Small.
No rear seat. Pretty small trunk. Small. It's not. Nah, I take that back. For the size of the car, I think the trunk is appropriate. Pelican case plus 2 backpacks.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good for that car.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's not small. It's small in the grand scheme of things. For that size car, it's fine.
I mean, if you're driving a Cayman, you could hold the same stuff. You'd have to separate them, right?
Yes.
Separate your children. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Caymans, should we talk about the Luchtgekort?
Yeah, let's talk about the left gegult. The left gegult.
Luchtgekort was this past weekend. It was at Universal Studios, the back lot.
Really cool.
My car was in Mexico, in the Mexico set back here, which I later found out was the set of the Three Amigos. That's what this movie set was.
Oh, but like they shot other places too, right?
Yeah. But this was like the main one of the main sets for the Three It
Gotcha. The town they go to.
I left the dirt on my car, and The Luft is it's like a movement, I think, but also I think it's causing a little rift because there's, it's so big now that I think some people are kind of like upset that they can't, their cars couldn't get in or whatever. The tickets, sold out really fast. I think there was some mild hating.
Well, this was one of my
But if
the event
favorites,
gets bigger,
whatever the fuck this was.
yes, it gets more popular, but the smaller the event, the fewer tickets they are too. So you might have less of a chance of getting in anyway.
Yeah.
Like that's I don't think that's a weird complaint.
I think people were talking about cars not getting in as well.
Well, I think they're trying
What
to.
did that
they're
get
trying to
in? And
curate
my
it.
thing didn't get in. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the next year they might switch it. Like there's so many cars in the world. And
I know. Might get in
think,
next year.
Yeah, this year they had a ton of 914s.
Well, it was the 50th anniversary of the 914.
Okay, that makes
why.
sense. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that car. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed driving it when I drove it. I think some of them there look cool. Did I need to see 25 of them? No. But they needed, it's their 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Give them a spot.
Yeah.
The next year, your car can get in.
Yeah,
You know,
the
what
next
are you
year
gonna
it's
do?
like the 924 or whatever the fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This is I think my favorite picture that I took of the two Ruby Stone cars, a Carrera RS and
good
a Turbo.
Good parking.
Yeah,
Ruby Stone.
I mean, my
facing Ruby
favorite
Stone.
thing about Luft is the locations, right? You get Pat Long, you get Jeff Zwart curing locations. So to have a car show, I mean, look, here's a Porsche. I think this is a 962, although it might be a 956, but I think it's a 962.
I think it's 962.
In like a Western town. Like, what the fuck is a 962 doing in a Western town? Here's a 959, which I later learned was owned by Hurley Haywood. Parked in front of like the Wall Street, like it wasn't a courthouse. This might have been some other bank or some kind of building. But then, here, this is on the New York City set, the Ruby Stone. Like, here's I don't remember what it is, but it's Jackie Ick's Psycho Death Le Mans machine that apparently went 230 miles an hour, parked just on a sidewalk.
No roof, for those of you who are listening. That car's no roof, 230.
These crazy Can-Am, like, I think this is a 910 or some shit. I'm going to get hated on for not knowing what these are, but they're crazy. And this is inside a soundstage. And then my car was in Mexico. And then other cars that I don't have any. Do we have pictures, Zach, of the... did you have some Back to the Future set pictures? So the hill... Oh, so here's a New York City or something New York City-esque. This is some New York City. You
I think some of the set of Friends or something was like down.
Oh
there.
yeah, right.
Very,
the coffee shop.
like a Seinfeld
Here's
walk around stuff.
The Gunter Works. Yeah, the exterior
This
of the
thing
coffee
in bare
shop.
carbon was sick.
I know.
That was very cool.
Lee's Turbo Safari was there. Did you have more pictures? Is this more?
Yeah, you can scroll a little bit. But.
And we got to drink beers in Hill Valley Square, which I really enjoyed. That was super. I liked having a beer in front of the clock tower.
It's way smaller than I thought. I was like, how is that pond that he hoverboarded across so big? And it wasn't.
It's not
They
big.
just made it look
Wide angle
big.
lenses.
Wide angle lenses. And a tree has grown in the way, and so there.
Well, apparently they bless you. Apparently they dig that area up and replant it all the time to make it look like different stuff.
Gotcha.
And the original, I think, Back to the Future 50s diner burned down.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was gone. But the those race service guys. They built that really cool 935 this thing, and it was parked. It was really really cool, and it was parked right in the alley where in Back to the Future 2, the rain stops and he puts on the power laces, and they leave Jennifer on the side of the thing.
Don't they leave her in the garbage?
They leave her in the garbage, but in an alley on the side, and that's where this was parked. Which really
Right
made
there's
me-
the alley where they practice terrible caring for a
dude,
sleepy person.
I walked around with Marco from TLG just doing Back to the Future fucking nerddom. It was great. I talked to Patrick Dempsey in the little gas station area, which was converted into a Porsche station. That was really
the
cool.
one where they kick the Pepsi out of the counter.
Yeah. No, where he shows them how to use the Coca-Cola bottle opener.
yeah.
Yeah. There's Back to the Future shit everywhere.
I thought it was
great.
a really, really cool idea because, like, every 500 feet, it changed scenery, and I think it added like a different flavor, almost like a different aroma to like the cars you were looking at.
100%.
It just made it. It made, instead of you seeing 150 cars on the same parking lot or the same overall venue, like the one at the lumberyard was also really, really cool.
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
a picture frame everywhere you looked, which is rad. But this, the rally cars are sitting in Mexico. They're sitting on dirt, so you're almost seeing them in their element. And then you go around the corner and you see all these race cars in downtown New York, which you wouldn't ever see that happen. So you kind of get to see that, and it almost like kept your brain alert. Like every time you turn a corner, you're in a new place, a new world, and it just added a really cool, like subconscious and conscious like air to the entire event.
Well, it makes it super Instagrammable. Someone from Porsche interviewed me for, I don't know, one of their blogs or something, and they're like, "What is it about Luft?" And I was like, word travels via Instagram. And this is the most Instagrammable car show ever, because every car is presented to you with a backdrop in a diorama of sorts. It's not even a dope, even that Cars and Copters joint we went to last weekend, which by all measures is a pretty sick car show. Fucking stuffed full of Paganis and Koenigsegg's and all kind of crazy shit. Choppers everywhere, on the beach. Pretty baller stuff by most measures. But like, and God bless Amy and Johnny. I mean, they did a lovely job with that show, but ultimately that's in a parking lot, as are all car shows. So taking a car show out of a parking lot is extremely important.
Well, you can focus on the car because the backdrop of your Pagani shot is going to be
another Pagani
and people, and there's just a lot. The picture is very busy.
The Kelly Moss car was there, which about 7,000 people sent to me on Instagram like a month ago, because they had the tent on the the tent on the roof, and then they put to show the strength of the car for the tent. They put a GT3 on the roof. You see that?
I did not see that.
Oh wait, hang on, give me a second. I'll find it. This was one of the great Kelly Moss. I think it's just KLOY. Oh, Kelly Moss Road and Race on Instagram. Oh, I should really have made sure to follow them. They had one of the, look at this. This is the dopest shit ever, son. Everyone asks how much the roof rack can hold now that they've seen the tent on top of it. I guess here is our answer. They have placed what looks like a 911 GT3R on the roof rack of the Safari.
That's insane.
Isn't that the most gangster shit ever?
It is. That's really badass. It's like, here's what our suspension, our roof rack can take, everything.
Yeah. I talked to the Kelly Moss guys at Luft, and they were super cool, and they said I can absolutely have a go in their car. And it turns out they had a shoot scheduled with me that Larry Chen completely forgot to inform me about.
When is it?
It was fucking today. It was this morning, but I had shit going on. I couldn't do it.
Oh wow! Well, wait, did they show up and no one was there?
No.
Okay.
We've at Luft. We were like,
gotcha.
yeah. So that came about because they had put this tent on the roof because the owner wants to go camping or whatever. We're very cool. But I looked this car over. It was really badass. Their fenders are cut. They've got bigger wheels, even bigger tires. The fenders are cut very high. It's a much more extreme build.
That is stunning.
This was there, yeah. So Rod, this is Rod Emery's. So go ahead, Zach.
Is it 356? Like almost
RSR.
Yeah, with
twin
turbos. You can see out the back like Bisimoto.
It's so.
Oh yeah, I did see it there.
It's so crazy.
The back I think is stunning. It looks awesome. It looks very steampunk. Like the hero gets in and land speeds away. It's really, really nice. You got like the fenders are taken off with like Zeus fasteners and then riveted back on. So they look removable. It looks really,
Rod's
really
taste
cool.
is so good.
Really, yeah, it is.
Rod has
really
the best
cool.
taste in everything. Everything about his cars looks so ill. I would love to drive this. I wonder if he'd let me drive it. He probably would.
If he and John Ward, if there was a hell, their hell would just be an empty room with no tools and no materials.
Did you see the thing John's building? We probably actually can't talk about it. But the thing,
talk about
but
it.
you know the thing, right?
I know. I don't know.
You know a thing?
I know.
He's doing a thing.
I know he's doing a thing.
He's got a thing.
Sometimes he puts the thing on Instagram. Sometimes he doesn't.
Does he?
I don't know if it's the same thing.
Maybe it's a different thing. I don't know. Follow Kelly Moss Road and Race though on Instagram.
Oh, that
they
thing.
Rule.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to apologize to Lee Keen for suggesting you follow Kelly Moss because they also build Safari cars.
They all build them slowly, and there's a lot more people buying them, I think, than there are cars on the road right now.
That's true. Fucking, did you know what Lee told me?
Demand.
Lee just finished Safari number 16, and he told me that he has just taken the order for number 34.
Cool.
That homie's got a job.
Yeah, it's really
He
cool.
has a job now.
But I'm really
He was
stoked.
drunk at Luft.
He's good at that too. That's his other job.
I was all, you want to do a podcast? He's like, nah, I'm gonna be drunk. I was like, cool, man.
I like that the Safari thing's cool because it's people that took formerly fancy cars or ooh, be careful, gotta wax the Porsche, put the cover on the Porsche, and just like go out and drive it hard in the dirt.
Yeah.
It's rad. Like
He
this
was
shit
just-
fording rivers and stuff.
He was just doing some dope shit with these rivers.
Yeah, he's scouting.
This
He
is
does
North
these-
Carolina.
He does these group drives for the Keen Project cars in the South, and he was scouting, and this river's like, I don't know, it's like a foot deep.
I liked the idea of him driving through these rivers. I wanted to do this one, but I just didn't have the fucking time and energy to ship my car out there or
Yeah.
drive it out there.
Yeah.
But we're working on, for this November, a West Coast one that's going to include some desert, some mountains.
It'll be
But-
great.
Oh my God, it's great fun. Have we done podcasts since I went out in the desert with my car?
No,
Oh my God, it was the best.
we have not.
Car was so good in the dirt. You have to come out next time and do it.
Hell yeah.
I was doing video with the Emirates guys and with Larry, so I didn't get to do Smoking Tire video, but fuck me, is that great fun. Because even like everything about it, most things about it makes sense on the road here in LA. The ride, the ride and all that. But the steering's a little meh in the city. It's like, because it's got big fucking off-road tires on it, and this, and they're kind of like, there's a little drone because they're the BFG ATs, they're a little loud, whatever. So there are some shortcomings in the city, but like, fuck, when you go on the dirt, it turns in like a GT3. You know what I mean?
Is
Like,
it just lean and set? How does
yeah,
it?
yeah. Like you pretty much keep in second. If you want to slide, you can go. I went on El Mirage. I went like 125 maybe. But if you want to actually slide it in the dirt, you kind of really want to be in second gear. It doesn't really have enough power to slide in third unless you do some like, you could initiate a big slide in third, but
How soft or hard was the dirt you were on also? Because that could be a factor, of course.
so we were at El Mirage. So it's a dry lay, it's very hard. It's like almost concrete, like with the dust layer on top, and it drives like concrete until you cut into it really hard in a very tight slide, and then you can kind of dig in a little bit, but it's mostly like dusty, dirty tarmac. Pretty smooth. So second gear, you use your left foot on the brake and your right foot on the gas, and you give it a good stab in the brake to really set that front end, turn it in, and then just smash the gas and counter steer, and it just holds it, right? And you really, by staying on the floorboard, it sets that rear weight, and it just sticks, and you just steer out of it, slowly unwind, and then you brake it again right at the transition, or just a aggressive on throttle followed by an aggressive lift.
Just throw the
will
weight.
throw that weight just forward, and it'll stick the nose again, and you slide it the other way. I mean, it was so easy. Like, I did probably like a mile-long manji down the side of
That's
the
so
lake
rad.
bed. I was like dripping sweat by the end of it because I wanted to keep the windows closed so it didn't completely fuck the interior.
Yeah.
I mildly fucked the interior, but like it was still pretty dusty. But so it's hot as balls in there. You know what I mean? But I'm just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was so great. So great.
Seems like, is that kind of driving a good like low speed lesson in Porsche handling dynamics in general?
Totally,
Like if you're
yeah.
going 10 tenths in like a 911 GT3,
The
like
same kind of
oversteering
thing
and
would
stuff is
happen.
crazy.
Like there'd be less movement of it. Like
Yeah.
it's nice because in the same way a trophy truck, the movements are kind of exaggerated. It's sort of like that here. Things happen a little slower. It kind of like moves around a bit, but like you can, in a race car, if your only car, even if it's not a race car, but even if it's like let's call it like a lowered GTI or something like that, if you have a very firm suspension, and not a lot of travel, like a sports car, it's a very fine edge between dancing that front and rear. Like at Porsche Sport Driving School, at the center, when I did the advanced lessons, like
Yeah.
that slick track with the drifting, we did 35 to 40 minutes on keeping a GT3 between 0 and 1% throttle. 0 and 1. Like that fine edge between 0 and 1
Whoa.
is what it took to do a consistent amount of drifting on that track.
whoa.
on the dirt with this, your movements can be like, they're a lot more aggressive.
Of course, and they probably have to be.
Yeah,
also,
it's full throttle and
Yeah.
heavy brake and a big huck. You know what I mean? And so because the car moves on the suspension, when you brake, you can really feel it go down and up. But you know what I mean? And it gives you a ton of feedback to work with and understand. Okay, here's where I'm at, and here's how I get out of this. And as long as you keep your eyes where you want to go.
and you kind of got to set your trajectory a little. Like I feel like, well, my closest relation was driving the Aerial Nomad in the dirt because it's rear engine, all those things, and I found that you couldn't make as many mid-corner corrections drift-wise as you can in a front-engine car because you're not pivoting around the engine anymore. You're like controlling momentum a little bit. Or trying to rein it in, I guess I'd say.
But you know, they say like when you're sliding a Porsche, like never lift. You never lift all the way. You can come off the floorboard. You know what I mean? You don't have to stay on the floorboard.
Yeah.
Just don't come off enough to throw that weight forward while you're, you know what I mean? And also, you're on the dirt.
Yeah.
By being on
more
dirt, there's no snapback, right? So that whole Widowmaker thing where you don't want to lift because if you lift, it catches and snaps back. Well, on the dirt, that snapback is a good way to transition, and it's a much less aggressive when you do it.
Oh, absolutely.
You can make it do the transition, but you have to like hard on, hard off. You know what I mean? It won't just do it. But like, I made a bunch of Emirates Airlines camera people shit their pants.
Very dusty.
And they were very big fans.
That's fantastic.
But I
That's what that
strongly
car is
recommend, and
supposed
like
to
the
do.
engine, the diff, everything like really took a beating. Well, was perfectly happy. Although the engine, it was definitely like rough cold starting afterwards.
Well, you started it for when we went to Luft, and it was like, it took a try or two.
Right. Well,
and
when
then
I got home from Luft, me and Vinny took out, because here's how at Luft it was really filthy, and when I got home, me and Vinny cleaned out the air filter, and I poured like half a cup of sand out of the air filter.
Whoa.
And I started it up right after that. It was like,
Oh, so
it started up
it was
instantly.
choked up a little bit.
It just wasn't
Right.
getting air because of the
Okay.
fucking air filter.
Wow.
It's full of sand.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then we had to wash it twice. Like
How the ceramic coating do?
Oh,
when you
pretty
pour
good.
water on it?
Yeah, it didn't. Everything was pretty well baked onto there, and it didn't just come off with water. And I had to wash it twice because I missed some spots the first time. It was literally every single surface was covered in dust. But it was extremely dirty, and there was a dick on it, and it was. But I would say that the ceramic coating did aid in the cleaning. Like a lot of it did come off. Like I still had to wash it.
Well, and
but
is
like
the
a
dust
bunch of
out there?
came
Is
off.
it like talcum powder dust? Is it
really,
really
really
fine?
fine.
Yeah,
Really fine.
That just sticks to stuff.
Yeah,
Really
it was
does.
really fine. And then halfway through Luft, remember it rained, so it like mud caked
Yeah,
it
it did,
even a little
and then
bit.
it dried again. So
Yeah.
it's just baking it. You're making
So-
like a ceramic cup.
Yeah, but overall, the Expel films, like the film they did, like even after the desert, like the car looks. When you see it when you go outside, the car looks mint.
It's amazing to me that they can wrap a car and then it can get polished like clear coat. That's incredible to me. Really, the science, the material science is insane.
Super crazy. Super crazy. Are we still
It's rad.
fucking live? I haven't checked this in a while. Hey,
Ooh,
we
I
are.
assume and hope so.
We got a shitload of questions.
Speaking
though.
of vintage Porsches, I drove something.
Oh, yeah,
pretty
let's talk
nutty
about
today.
that. Yeah.
So
This
this
thing.
this is it's called the RSR Rebel. But basically, there's this guy. His name is John Gunderson, and he made a bunch of money. Just like legitimate businessman. When he was 18, he owned a sandwich shop, starting early, all that stuff. So he made a bunch of money and started restoring cars with his son. He's not like a wrench
It's fucking sexy.
fabricator
this thing.
himself, but he's a good project manager. Like he found a really good team that does metalwork, and he found guys that
He's a contractor.
He's a contractor.
He's a Lee Keen.
but he's not like a
what
hand.
Lee
He
does.
doesn't hand it to like a shop. Like he basically assembled his own A team, and he like runs a shop now that it's just like a private shop. So he he's building 3 like art car RSR tributes. So he took the most popular, arguably the most famous vintage 911 is the RSR, right?
Yeah, sure.
Well,
If you say
You
so.
don't blindly agree to me, but like for NA cars, like that's the
mean,
one
yeah,
they
it's
sell
the
for
lo-
like
it's the-
$1.5 million. If
Yeah,
it's
the
like a road
RS, the
car.
2.7 RS, yeah.
You know, it was an option package you could get on your Carrera RS back in the day. It was mostly meant to be a race car. that
I
you could
thought
buy
these
from
were
the
race
dealership.
cars, yeah. It wasn't
You could buy it. You go to dealership and you could check a box for like the 491 package, and
Yeah.
it added almost 50% of the cost to your Carrera. And then it was lighter, like 200 pounds lighter, 100 more horsepower. You got brakes from like a 917, all this stuff. So he took that idea, and then he likes the paint on the 917 art cars. So he's doing having 3 of these built that are basically. He takes a 1973 Carrera. They make all metal fenders, all metal ducktail spoiler. They get an engine from Roth Sport that's 350 horsepower. It's a 3.5 liter. And then they paint them. They're painting them to match the 917 art car. So there's going to be like a hippie art car, which is really cool. And then the one I drove today was Gulf. So it's like 2,200 pounds, 350 horsepower, 5-speed. It was pretty amazing. And today I got
it's a
over
Roth
my,
Sport engine. Roth
They
knows
built-
how to build a fucking motor. If you don't know who they are, they're legit.
They built the engine for Zwart's Pan Americana car, I think
They
it was,
built the
or Pikes
Luft
Peak.
Auto cars, which is Pat Long's and Joey Seeley's Safari cars. I think he built Seeley's motor, the BBI, the Project Nasty
Project
motor.
Nasty.
He has built Roth Sport. Do they? They don't build Singers. No, not Singer engines.
No.
But they build like dope shit. Very
They
dope
build
shit.
dope shit for people that are very discerning. I
Yeah.
think is the way I would definitely put it. So
They
this
don't
guy's
fuck
just
around.
building these things,
here
and
we go.
I was
We have a
very
picture
lucky to
gallery.
get to drive one. Yeah, they strip it to metal. They they build fenders.
This
out
one
of
looks
metal.
fire. This number
Yes.
3 hippie car.
I was
Freeman
hoping
Thomas.
that one wasn't ready in time.
sick.
Freeman Thomas was a senior designer at Porsche, and then he went to like Fiat, VW, Ford. I mean, he's a pretty legitimate, longtime guy in the design space of OEMs, and now he's like helping paint on these designs, which is really cool.
I don't think the Golf one is all that. I think Golf
No, I
is a
agree.
little tired.
Totally agree.
At this point.
Yep.
I think I know why he probably wanted to start a little conservative with the first one, but I would have gone fucking full on butcher chart.
Oh,
I would have
butcher chart
gone
would be cool.
fucking full butcher chart
Yeah.
on that bitch. So how to drive? I mean, it must be pretty nasty, right? Light and fucking fast, right?
Light, fast. Steering is crazy communicative. Not like super quick, but with
No, the old cars have a slow ratio.
slow
but it
ratio,
tells you
but
everything.
it tells you everything.
Yeah.
Like even a little bit of lift or a little
Yeah.
bit of gas, like you could feel it felt like 5 pounds coming off the front end.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's sort of why people like these old 911s. They really talk to you.
I'm starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I basically had to like defeat myself because I've hated on these things for a long time, which is like
I don't think you've hated on them.
I've not hated. I've just been like I don't understand the vintage Porsche thing because they're
Oh.
very expensive.
Yes.
A lot of them weren't that fast.
Yes.
And when everyone was jumping on the bandwagon, I think one of my hipster qualities is going, well, go fuck yourself.
Well, that's called
unfounded.
morning starring.
I was just like, everyone likes these. They're too popular.
Yeah.
And they're not all great.
I'll agree that some of them cost $300,000 and are not $300,000 driving experiences.
That exactly.
Completely
that was my
agree with
problem.
you.
That was
Yeah.
my problem with them.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I had not driven one that I think showed me all of the naturally aspirated goodness of the lightweight cars. And so today I got to experience that, and I got it. Like the engine could not have felt more bored and just pulled. Second, third gear felt the same. And because it's flat six, I think it's a very balanced engine. It's just like there's not a lot of vibration coming through. It just charged down the street. It was really phenomenal. It had 2 hiccups. The pedal, like the ergonomics of the pedals, the clutch is the closest thing to you, then brake, and then the gas is too deep.
The clutch is
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Like a stair almost.
Was it the stock pedals or was it some aftermarket?
No, it's
race
aftermarket
set?
pedals.
Okay.
And they are adjustable. The car only has 800
See
miles
if
on
I
it, so like
can-
they can fix
so
that.
here we go. Well, that's
Okay, well,
up pedal.
that's not
That's
set
up
up
pedal.
correctly.
Wait,
But
sorry.
basically, if you were full brake, you wouldn't be able to heel toe, which is like, okay,
okay.
they should probably fix that. And it had a little like wiggle at speed. It went over a little crest, and it just kind of tramlined a little.
Oh.
And what the guy that brought it was saying is that the suspension was set up by their shop, but it needs like the Joey treatment. It needs to go to someone that has only been working on 911s for a long time. But otherwise, I mean, it's stunning. Like it's
And
you know,
so
it's
he's
a really
building
cool
3
idea.
of these, so he's selling them, yeah? Or two of
For
them?
him, it's one of those like if you wanted to buy it, you could email him probably.
Really?
But he's just like he's a guy that has, money, time,
Okay.
and likes to build cool stuff.
It's nice
So,
of him to let you have a go.
Yeah, it was pretty rad. It
Yeah.
was pretty cool because I've filmed the Singers and the other things many times, but I've never driven one.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying these are the same, but I'm saying the lightweight motorsport engine.
It makes
911,
sense when you
it's
try
making
one. It
sense.
does make sense.
It's making sense to me now, and it's like the different way to skin a cat. It's a different driving experience than a front engine car.
Totally.
And at a certain point, if you've driven all the front engine cars, like, all right, well, let's learn to play a different instrument.
Yeah,
So-
and also like when those cars, like the thing about 911s is like if you get one relaxed on the highway, and a lot of what is happening mechanically is behind you and doesn't really bother you up here the way that you get the vibrations of exhaust gases flowing underneath the car. You'd be surprised the
that's a great
differences that
point.
kind of stuff makes.
Maybe that's why it just feels like there's no vibration
There's effort-
around you. It's
yeah.
just effortless speed, thrust, everything just going,
The
going,
balanced
going.
nature of the engine, like it just feels like you can kick the shit out of it all the time. It doesn't
does.
feel like it's working.
Yeah. I mean, plus, as you know, like the bodies are built so fucking well.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you can off-road them and they don't jiggle or shake.
Yeah.
And, they don't seem well this. They just pull it apart back to metal and do everything else. But, I mean, the bodywork's stunning. And the shape and the interior, like they get rid of the HVAC controls on the dash.
Yeah.
So it's real clean. It's just like black dash on the right, and then they paint the gauge pod, Gulf color or whatever color
So
they're
does
doing
it not have HVAC anymore?
It has a fan.
Oh.
It still has a fan switch. They got rid of like the heater because they're just like, well, you're not driving this in the cold. It'll be fine.
Well, that's sad. You should
You
drive.
don't need AC.
You do. I have AC and heat in my car, and I use both all the time.
I understand. But your car is like a silver
car's
warrior,
a daily-
a city warrior, a city warrior.
Urban warrior.
Exactly. But it was rad. It
Cool.
was rad.
All right.
It was a good experience.
Okay. Well, we got a lot of questions. We'll try to get through them. And who are we kidding? We don't have a life. We'll get through them.
We don't.
But I'm going to cut off the questions now because otherwise we will not get through them. Let's see.
Caesars?
What would you choose? Second gen Cadillac CTSV manual or a Chevy SS as a summer daily in Pittsburgh or West Virginia? Well, the CTSV, I believe, is the better car. The SS has the things that the CTSV has, but just not as much of them.
That's true. Unless gas is a concern for you.
I mean, yeah. But I'm guessing...
Is that something to worry about?
Yeah, but you're splitting hairs. The SS isn't exactly a Prius.
Oh, no, not at all.
You know?
But, it's like if you're getting 12 around
12
the city
versus
and
8.
CTSV versus 15 or 18,
Yeah.
like it adds up. But those are very different beats. I mean, the CTSV is just like hilarious.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
dynamics alone, I say CTSV. But the Chevy SS is a nice car too. Chris Camburn says, "What's better for comfortable daily driving on the interstate, the Lexus GS or the LS? And which generation of each is best?" Okay, I mean the LS is just cushy. It's just like that's Cush is its game.
Yeah.
Almost like Snoop Dogg. Cush is its game.
And it's bigger and longer, so longer wheelbases usually
Right.
going to be more comfortable and
Yeah.
it's more steady and et cetera, et cetera.
But-
You're further away from the bumps.
Right. But it's also heavier, slower, not as fun. A GS actually is reasonably fun to drive. Pretty responsive. Pretty much the LS running gear in a smaller car.
Easier to park.
Yeah. I would say if you don't need the back seat that often, and if you don't need quite as much shit in the trunk, just get the GS. 'Cause
Totally.
The GS is still a pretty big
You
car.
will not find it uncomfortable.
Yeah. I would prefer a GS, and I think they're equally comfortable. But the GS probably is nicer to drive. Von Waffenberg says, recently, thank you for the rather large donation. Recently bought a 2013 Boss 302. As far as I know, it's stock. Love the car so far. What are your opinions on the Boss 302 for Florida? I mean, the Boss 302 is the jam.
Yeah.
It's a lovely car.
That raised the bar for how Mustangs should drive and handle.
Totally.
Absolutely.
At the time, Ford was selling the GT500 and the Boss 302. The GT500 was the giant motor one, and everyone universally said the 302 was the better car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they still do.
It was like the pre-GT350.
It was. I think it made everyone go, oh, we can do this. Okay, people are more into this now.
Yeah.
Like the special editions don't need to be rocket ships. They can turn.
Yeah, it's a lovely car. I had a great time with both press cars we got. They were fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were both. That was a good month.
Probably a good Florida car.
I think just you find track days because there's not a lot of turns there. You're
Yeah.
missing out on
PBIR,
302
son.
experience.
Hit up
100%.
PBIR and Roebling Road. Maxwell says, love the podcast. Zach, anything to look for on an E46 M3 besides subframe Vanos bearings?
Yeah.
Zach is becoming the PPI fucking guy. And
I am. I've had enough problems. Things like the cooling system basically needs to get replaced around 100,000 miles. Like the expansion tank is known for drying out and cracking, and then all of a sudden your coolant goes all over the ground, whether you're moving or not. So when I bought mine, I replaced all that stuff. So look for ones that have had that replaced if you're near 100,000 miles. Vanos, there's some people are concerned about. There's a cam angle sensor gear, like that can have these control tabs in them that break off. And if they break off, you have a really big problem. Now, I've never heard of an issue with mine. A lot of people do it preventatively. Like if you're going to do hard track use, you can buy a hardened gear for it or replace it with a new OEM one. It really depends on what you're doing with the car, who had it before you, and how many miles it has on it. So I think if you're looking at a car that's around 100,000 miles, I would buy one that's over and has had all that shit replaced by another human being.
the same shit, that same deal goes for a 911. You see a lot of high 80 and low 90,000 mile 911s for sale, air cooled, and that's because 100,000 mile is that one that I just did.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so you're looking at like a $15,000 to $20,000 service at $100K. So you're better off buying one with $115K on it that's had the service than buying one with $90K that needs the service.
Yeah, absolutely. If I could go back in time and do it again, I might have looked for a car that had, if you're going to keep it for a while. But basically, yeah, subframe, Vanos bearings, and cooling stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it should be fine.
All right. Dominic says, any thoughts on Richard Mille, better known as Richard Mille? So do you know, Zach, do you know anything about Richard Mille?
Only from the Jay-Z song.
Right. So Richard Mille, a.k.a. Richard Mille, has some very interesting watches.
The Bueller had a Mueller, but I switched it for a Miele because I'm richer.
Yes. There you go.
I'll
Exactly.
go take a break now.
And
What the hell?
These watches are incredibly interesting,
What
kind
the
of
fuck
weird.
is that?
These things are like $150,000 to $500,000.
I know they are. It has a skull in it.
Yeah, I
just
know.
For the record.
That's sort of a thing they do. And yeah, and they're all crazy, right? So there some of them are weird, but
flames in it.
a lot of them are designed for a function that no one will really ever use it for.
Attracting
but like
pussy?
Like Rafael Nadal, the tennis player, has a special edition one. Like you're not supposed to wear a watch while playing tennis because your arm is doing these circular motions over and over. Same thing with playing golf. You're
Charges
not supposed
it
to wear
up,
a
though.
watch. It can damage it in theory. Richard Mille has some watches that are like
Tennis
meant
proof.
for that. Yeah, like extreme sports proof.
Looks like a vagina.
It does. This one, I just saw that. This one does look like
It's
a
got
vagina,
teeth.
and
It's
it's a
dentata.
lady's watch. It's a pink lady. It
That
really
might
is
not be
very
by accident.
vag-like. But they sponsor a lot of racing, a lot of Formula One, a lot of open wheel racing. I mean, this is what it looks like on someone's wrist. They're way bigger than they look. They're big.
That's way bigger
Yeah,
than
they're
I
big.
expected.
A lot of them are really big. They're really garish. They scream like I spent six figures on this, and that's kind of the point. But they are extremely technologically advanced.
I cannot
and
knock
very cool.
the engineering because when I see that
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
or those crazy snow globe ones you
Yeah.
show me, like
Oh, the astronomias.
the math that goes into that
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Can't knock it whatsoever.
Yeah,
It's just,
Richard Mille does a lot of material stuff. They make movements out of carbon fiber and titanium and really wild alloys. They do some neat stuff.
Okay.
But I don't want to wear one. No,
it's like wearing like a LaFerrari.
our homie Thaddeus works on their social media account in Dubai.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just making friends all over the place.
Yeah. Jason says, I've been re-listening to old TST episodes. I believe the first mention of your now Countach was in episode 5. Wow, how about that?
I wonder what you said.
I think that might have been when I reviewed the car.
Oh,
Or that I was
David's car?
yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. Back episode 5. I just found more Countach media appearances. So it did the Cindy Crawford thing. It's been in multiple. It's been a Diddy video, and it was in the Muse Thought Contagion video. as well as another Muse video.
Wow.
They use it for 2 Muse videos.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we add that to the Countach resume.
It'd be funny if in episode 5 you just say, you know what car's really cool looking? The Countach. Like, that's it.
AP says, will the Pepsi Batman resale bubble ever burst? I don't know. Pepsi Batman, we're talking about Rolex watches here, the GMT Master. It could be a bubble. It's weird. Rolex is the most valuable mass-produced product out there. I mean, they literally make 1 million watches a year.
Whoa. Did not know that.
Yeah, they don't make 1 million Pepsis, but they make a lot of watches. They're made by robots. They're not made by hand, and yet they are, it's the same. It's like an iPhone.
They're not robots, Matt. They're Swiss people.
Totally. It's very funny.
Do the values of robots? Do the values of watches tend to track with like the rest of the economy?
Yeah.
Or like any luxury item?
I do believe so. The best of the best will always be owned by the very richest people that are immune from most economic bubbles. The stuff in the middle will take a dive, I think the old Rolexes, the ones where there are now a fixed number of them, are incredibly susceptible to fraud and fake aging and bezel replacement and parts. But if you get a good one, that one is ace and is not part of any bubble. But Rolex is very smart about how many of these things they make, and it's not in their best interest to increase the production of them anytime soon. They would be pretty dumb to do that, and I don't think they're that dumb. So I think...
how long have they been in business?
100 years.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, almost 100 years. Yeah, I think it's 100 years. It's like early 20s, if not late teens, I believe. Yeah, Hans Wilsdorf might be 1923 or 1926. It's approaching 100 years. I believe that a stainless steel Rolex that has an appropriate pedigree, meaning it's legit, is a strong investment and remains a strong investment. That's just me though. But my money's in that behind that investment because I got a bunch of them. Car Fun said, "Oh, we got a soccer ball donation. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love that it's still
5
going.
years later.
Dude,
it's still going.
Cool.
Man, this is turning into a watch question answer. Okay, secondary funds.
They paid the money.
Would you buy a 2-tone blue Rolex Submariner or a high mileage E46 M3? Both completely irrational. I know 100% what I would buy
That's funny.
with secondary funds.
Well, only one of them is going to maintain its value, huh?
One will maintain its value and cost you almost nothing to own.
Yep.
The other one will cost you a goddamn fortune at every corner.
But it'll be fun.
It might be kind of fun. I say buy the watch and count your money.
Second, yeah, I mean, I already have an E46. That's hard though, because buying something that costs that much and it just sits in a shelf, but you make great points.
I mean, it also depends. Like, does he already have a sports car or not?
Yeah.
If you don't already have a sports car and you have secondary funds, you should definitely get a sports car before you get a nice watch.
Yeah.
If you already have a sports car and you're talking about and the money matters,
It's really
he's talking
funny.
about, secondary funds, a watch or a car, you've got some money, but
Yeah.
you don't have all that much money,
Right.
And something tells me he doesn't have that money to lose.
Well, then you should not get a BMW. Definitely not a high mileage one.
Oh yeah, I say get the watch unless you already have a sports car.
Yeah.
Dante says also check your finances first. Dante says currently saving up for my first bike after finishing the MSF course. That's the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. I did that course. I did the beginner and the advanced course. I got my license through them, and then they paid me to come back for 2 follow-up courses.
Really?
Yeah, they pay you like $75 to come back 6 months and then 18 months later. And you take a follow-up course and a survey, and they pay you.
That's a really good system.
Yeah.
I didn't take that course, and I went to the hospital.
I strongly
So take the
recommend that course. Dante says, thoughts on older carbureted motorcycles versus newer fuel-injected motorcycles.
Well, do you
Have you ever had
wrenches?
an old carbureted motorcycle? I mean, you've had older carbureted cars.
Yeah.
How much more fiddling did that require than a fuel-injected car?
I mean, well, when I had carbureted cars, I didn't know how to fiddle with them, so I just accepted whatever they gave me for the most part. Like, I turned the screws a little bit, and it was just very like backyard RPM dyno. But I think my thought would be if you're going to ride a bike over hills a lot or take any long trips, you'd probably want EFI, right? Like you'd want fuel injection because you're going to have to change jets. Like, do you want to ride from California to New York and go over 3 sets of mountains? Probably not with a carburetor.
I don't know. Look, for me, it's a philosophical question. You want to collect bikes or do you want to be riding the bikes?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If your
Yeah.
goal is to be out there riding, a fuel-injected motorcycle, a modern motorcycle is one of the most reliable vehicles you can own. I mean,
Carbs sound cool, and they do. Like it's a different induction sound, and they are fun. And I would personally like to rebuild a motorcycle just to learn how they work, and that's a good way to do it. But do you want to do it by choice or by because you have to?
I would. I mean, look, I would apply that same thought process to your car. You know what I mean? Do you want a carbureted car? Do you want a fuel injected car? The same thing with a bike. For me, just give me something that starts when I turn the key, and I'm happy. I have never had higher satisfaction with a product ever than my Yamaha scooter. Bought it for $1,400 off of Chris Hayes. Who even knows where he got it? He didn't buy it new. And it has 6,400 miles on it. I've had it for 5.5 years. I've spent $300 total dollars maintaining it.
Wow.
And maybe it's $150 a year to insure, and I get 80 miles a gallon. I've never, ever, ever had a problem aside from a dead battery. Ever. It's great. And I could turn around and probably sell it for more than I paid for it. I probably sell it for $2,000 right now.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And now they're selling e-bikes. It started like $5,000. I saw them on Santa Monica the other day. You could buy a moped that does the same thing for a fifth the price.
I'm doing a story this week. Patrick George hired me to do a story for Jalopnik ranking the e-mobility scooters.
It'll be funny.
I think it will probably be funny.
The word shitbox will be used a lot.
Some of them are really bad. Where are we at? Okay. Matt Franchuk?
Franksuk?
My dad just bought an '08 BMW 650i coupe with a manual. Any modification suggestions for his new daily? No. I mean, that's cool. He bought a 650 with a manual. That's neat.
Yeah. Doesn't need mods. It's the daily, right?
Yeah, I don't know what you would do really with it.
Turbo it in the night?
Dynan might make a tune for it.
Probably.
I would check with them because they make really safe, reliable stuff. You got a set of wheels, nice set of tires. Kind of stop there. I mean, it's not an M6. It's never gonna be.
Yeah.
So
but it doesn't need to be. It's a cruiser.
It's a cruiser. Make it cruise.
Yeah. Put
That's
the
what I would
mod
say.
fund into the repair fund.
Yeah. 650, I believe, was the beginning of the turbo engine because it was just the 645 was non-turbo, right? I think the 50 was turbo.
Yeah,
So
I think that's
if that's the turbo motor, which I believe it is,
Then you can get a tune.
then
It'll
you can get
actually
it
do
tuned.
something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think I might be off on my years, but that's all I got for you, buddy. Eli says I bought a C6 Z06 Corvette, partly Zach's fault.
Yep.
You're welcome. Coming from a Miata with some track experience. Advice for adjusting to a higher horsepower car with a reputation for tricky handling.
Yeah, you're gonna want to put a cork in your butthole. Tricky. Is it tricky handling?
I don't
I've
think it
never
has
drifted
tricky
one,
handling.
but-
I think it. I don't think it has tricky handling. I've had Z06s on racetracks before, and found them to be very fun when they don't overheat. Right?
Yeah, that was a great jab at at C7 Z06s. I really like the Type R.
Oh,
but
he
it's
said
not Porsche.
C6, didn't he?
said C6.
Oh, okay. I don't know what year he has, but at a certain year, they added the PTM. Right? I don't think they all had the PTM.
The one I drove was an 07, and it had a version. It had traction control. It had
did?
basic traction control, like
Okay.
a two-step kind of thing.
Okay, I think the later ones might have got the PTM, which is a more of a step one, and I would just say use it. Just
I
be careful.
I think the limits are way higher than the car you came out of, unless your Miata was really built. Like
Yeah.
now you've got more grip, more power. It's bigger. You're going to be going way faster. I would just ease into it and get used to it on like lower speed tracks, like streets. Don't go to Big Willow or something like that for your first road course. Go to a tighter track that's more like second, third gear, and get used to the car where you're going lower speed. So if you loop it or something, you're less likely to go into a wall.
Yeah, also, maybe find a skid pad. I don't know
Skid
where
pad's
you
a good
live,
idea.
but if you find a skid pad and really get comfortable doing some slides in second gear, and feeling out what makes it understeer, in a really safe environment, like that's a good place too. Also, the really good thing about Corvettes is that they don't really do anything that you don't tell them to do. Even the psycho death ones, like the ZR1s and shit, like the one thing that's always been really nice about an LS powered car, especially one of the NA ones, is you really can always just use less throttle. Like there's not these cars make so much torque. Like I would say when you go to a track day, like do a fucking entire lap in fourth gear, like a couple laps in fourth. You know what I mean? Like, don't shift at all. Like, you know, do some laps where you pretend your red line is 4,000 RPM, because these things make so much torque that like you can still go pretty fast around a fucking racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
That's a good
and
idea.
give yourself a false red line, and work your way up that way too.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I would say that is a thing. Let's see. Jorge says, do I have a preferred driving partner on press launches? And are there people, no need to say names, that I avoid? Yes, there are 100% people I avoid. There are people I refuse to drive with, as a matter of fact, and I will not name names. And yeah, I do have a preferred driving partners on press launches. I mean, if someone like a Spinelli, you know, or like one of my actual, you know, like a Tony Quiroga, or like one of the people that we have on this show all the time, which totally does happen, then yeah, I'll have one of them. If not, my friend Jim Resnick, who I see a lot, who writes for Ars Technica, he has a lot of racing experience, and I really do enjoy driving with him. He's a very good driver, and he's a lot of fun.
Larry Webster.
Larry Webster.
With racing experience.
I've been on one with Larry Webster. Like, yeah. Musto, I went on the Bullet launch with. Yeah, I definitely have few. Just like my friends, you know, like
the friends you trust.
my friends in the industry. Yeah, most occasionally. I've never been put with someone horrible like twice. You know what I mean? Like, I've never like had to get back in the car with someone where I'm like, oh God, not this person again. That's
Yikes.
never happened. I've been put with bad people, but now not so much anymore. Now they've kind of figured it out. Let's see. Randy says, can I describe what sort of videos we would make if the revenue didn't matter? Like a billionaire paid us to make any video we wanted. More all cars go to heaven trips, I think would be really fun.
Which is open for sponsorship.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't even be a billionaire. That could be a thousandaire. Could pay for that.
You know, yeah.
You know, those kinds of stuff out in the wilderness, you know, with a terrible car that you're, you know, turning into a hero, is the most fun that you can do. The least fun things about that is anything related to the filming. And if I had money, me and Zack and Thad and Tom would be the cast, maybe the directors, and we would have a film crew that could, and I would never have to touch a camera, and I could enjoy the thing that we were doing without having to be like, hang on a minute, stop, speed camera, and now get back, you know. So I wouldn't even be a ton of money. It would just be a little bit.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I would like
that's
to
the
do.
best thing ever.
Yeah. Word Dot says, how is the room in the Supra for a long torso? Well, I don't know how long your torso is, but I'm 6'3" and my pants are an inseam 30. So I have a pretty long torso
You
and
do.
short
We have the
legs.
same inseam.
Yeah, I have a long torso and short legs. So I think it's fine. But just the same thing I said about if you have a long torso, you're going to have to duck under that side pillar, which might be annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Insert witty name says, I hear that next generation BMW M cars are going to get Toyota engines. Have you heard about this? Do you know if it's true, and what's your thought? I have
Sounds
not
like a
heard.
bad joke.
I think that's a bad joke. I mean, if it's not a bad joke, my answer is no, I don't believe that. Right now, the engine flow is going one way.
Yeah.
the engine river is flowing one
If they couldn't
direction.
change that direction for the Supra, I don't think they're going to change anytime soon.
I don't believe that. But for the record, I particularly enjoy the Toyota engines in the Lotus Evora.
Yeah, they're really good.
I just talked to
V6s are
Corey.
great.
Corey's is going to have a day for us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They got the Lotus
Corey
account.
at Con Media is doing Lotus now, and
Yeah.
so they're getting the Evora GT.
Yeah, they're bringing a buffet. I heard.
Yeah. So we're not going to get, I don't think we get the same exact, the GT 430 they get in Europe, but we get the Evora GT, which I think has not the big splitter, but the same engine.
Okay.
So yeah, but I'm excited. That's going to be the end of the Evora line before the new. But I fucking
gonna be really
love the Evora. It's so good.
I've never driven a Lotus.
Oh, it's
Of any kind?
Oh, the Evora is such a fucking awesome car. It makes you think about how terrible some other cars are. If I would buy an Evora. Yeah. Let's see. Ivan Dealman says, I'm selling my Porsche 987.2 STPC. I'm looking for a slower car. I wonder if it's been modified by TPC turbos. If it's, I need a third. Okay, I'm looking for a slower car for a home in the Ozark Mountains. Slow, fun, tight road. What is the move?
Gotta go.
A 996 turbo or a Ferrari 328 GTS? Oh man. Okay.
These are okay. I feel like this guy, he's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. So he's selling a car and looking for something slower, and a 996 turbo is slower than what he's got right now. I'm not so sure, unless his car is like batshit fast.
Right.
But a 328 GTS is a lovely Ferrari. I'm a big fan of those. But if you're driving very tight, twisty roads, that car has no power steering. It's got that big pizza pie steering wheel,
right,
like a UPS truck, and no power steering. And you're going to be shuffling that bitch all day. So I would not recommend a non-power steering vehicle.
And Latigo, as we know, is not a 996 turbo road.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a second, third gear Audi R8 road, and that's fast. But that's because it's NA. It was more responsive than having a turbo engine.
Here's what I'd recommend: a BMW 325 E30 325 IS with some nice little suspension, with the spec E30 suspension
With the S52 swap.
Oh yeah, if you've got a little more money, S52 swap, a little bit more power. But if not, just a nice little E30.
That'd be a very
Nice
good car.
little
A
fun
little
E30.
momentum cruiser.
That's what I would do. Benjamin says, can a Toyota 86 handle daily driver duties of a base Fiesta like kids in the back and handling a 6'2", 250 pound driver at the same time? I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna give you a hard no there, Benjamin. I'm thinking to myself, you're basically describing me roughly, and if I had there's no kids going behind me in an FRS.
If I have people getting in and out of a car a lot, I want a four-door.
Yeah.
It's just, it makes life easier. It's just
I
easier.
think your life would get way harder and it wouldn't be worth it. Sorry, bud. Spencer says, thanks for saving the LS400. I didn't save nothing. Kept it going. That's all. Put oil in it. Alan says, I have a 97 Supra TT. I'm slowly fixing it. The 2JZ is bulletproof. The turbo and vacuum lines are not. I blew the stock turbo 2 years ago at 420 wheel horsepower, but it is an LC 500 of the 90s highway cruiser, kind of capable on corners.
What I will say to that
Review from an owner
is, in theory, your turbo vacuum lines were 20 years old. So, like, yeah, the rubber parts are going to wear out. Like, you would need to replace those. So,
Wes says, with the Lexus at 1 million miles and the parking garage being built, do I still have plans to turn the Lexus logbook and associated content into All Cars 3? Not really. That was going to be a plan before Thaddeus moved to Dubai. All Cars 3 was pretty much going to be the Thaddeus project as we finished that. But Thad moved to Dubai 2 years before I could finish the Lexus project, and that kind of no. I'd like to make All Cars 3 again, but or another one, but I really do think it's going to have to be like really off-roading again. Mm-hmm. The end of the Lexus story is that I'm writing like a 5-page piece for Road and Track magazine about it. That's pretty much the end of the Lexus story. Maybe I can find some good nuggets in the logbook. I thought about maybe trying to get the logbook made into a book, because that might kind of be fun, but it depends on what's in there. I have to take.
You got to read through it.
I got to take some time to read it. It's all handwritten, so it'll take a while. It's on.
People were pretty legible. I read through it a little bit when we were driving.
Was there any nodgets? You find any nodgets?
I found some funny shit. I think I might have bookmarked it a little bit in there.
Okay. We'll take it. We're going to look into it. Michael says, how does the Supra rank against the C7 Stingray or Grand Sport? Well, so first off, you don't want a base Stingray. You want a Z51 minimum. And that's 65 grand. So you're starting at like a minimum of 8 grand, but probably more like 10 to 12 grand more for a Corvette. Let's just remember that in 1996, a Corvette Grand Sport was $43,000 and a Supra was $56,000. So now a Grand Sport is probably 70, 75 grand, and 20 cheaper for a Supra. So these are the cars we're talking about here, and a Corvette Grand Sport certainly is a much faster car than the Supra. The Supra's put together a little nicer. Tolerances are a little tighter. Leather's a little higher quality, stuff like that. The things you'd expect. I mean, really, like, I know he's asking the question, so I have to give the answer, but you could pretty much guess your way to what the differences are between those cars. Believe it or not, the Corvette is going to be more practical. It has more space inside. It has a bigger trunk with a bigger trunk opening.
More headroom.
It has better visibility, more headroom, and you can take the roof off entirely. And it comes in a manual.
And it's fast as fuck.
Yeah, so in a lot of ways, you are getting a more enthusiast car with a Corvette that's also more practical. But if you value precision and, a Corvette will have a little bit of drivetrain slop in it. The body panel gaps might be inconsistent.
The automatic is not good.
The automatic's horrible, so that's where your money's going with the Supra. Pretty much. I think a modded, like a bolt-ons Supra could probably keep up with a Corvette Z51. Like, your bolt-ons, your 400 wheel, and then like track pads and fluid. I think that could probably keep up on a track with a base Corvette.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Grand Sport is faster for sure. Grand Sports are
serious.
Great.
They're serious.
Great. Update on Hannah's car. MB is Frenchie. Did I not talk about it?
No.
Oh.
The last show you said you were gonna go. You said you were gonna go look at it.
I went to look at the car,
right,
and I bought it,
right.
But I don't have it yet, and so I don't want to talk about it yet. When I physically have it, then I will talk about it.
Okay.
I think. But we do have a car. We've got a car, and the Mercedes is getting detailed by Robbie on Saturday, so it can go on Bring a Trailer next week. No reserve.
Nice.
50% for charity.
It's a very nice looking car.
It's a great car.
Yeah.
I would keep it. I have no problem with the car. The car works fucking awesome. And I just paid the reg. I just paid the smog. And I just had a service done, intending to keep it. But Hannah was all, hey, we need one car that has more than 2 seats.
Yeah.
And I was like, goddamn wife. No. I was like, yeah, of course we do. So, yeah. All right. Von Waffenberg, 370Z Nismo versus Supra, 1,000% Supra.
Yeah, one's new.
Richie Elks says, long-time listener, first-time cat guy. Advice for being a good cat parent. Oh, congratulations. Advice for being a good cat parent, play with your cat. Like actually proactively play with your cat. There's a book called Cat Mojo by Jackson Galaxy. He's like the Caesar Milan of cats. I recommend reading it. Give your cat a lot of entertaining things to do. Like give him lots of stuff, him or her, lots of stuff to scratch, lots of scratching posts. If your cat is an up high cat, give the cat places to go up high. If the cat likes being down low, give them places to hang out down low that is not like under your bed. You know what I mean? You don't take something away from a cat without giving them a better alternative, which is how you make a cat do what you want. But love your cat, clean the litter box, don't get lazy with the fucking litter box. And yeah, that's about it. Don't let it die. Dylan K, bucket list hiking trails. Angel's Landing Zion is my jam, and the Peekaboo Trail in Bryce Canyon are the 2 prettiest hikes I've ever done.
Bucket. I don't know. As far away from people as possible. So a foreign country. I want to go like Austria or
Zach
France
likes
or
to go a little more remote, and I go kind of national park hikes.
I want to go like Could Die. That's where I want to go.
Yeah, I'm going to stay off the Could Dies. All right. Oh no. MB is French. He wants to complain about his Maserati Gran Turismo again, and then he wants to know how the Countach is. It's great. I've put 2,500 kilometers on it in the last 5 months, and it is doing very well. It leaks a little bit of oil. I think it probably leaks. It probably leaks a teaspoon of oil from one spot every 3 days.
Pretty small.
It's not horrible.
It's
not
small.
horrible. It looks like a lot on the floor, but it's actually not that much. And there's not really much I can do about it. Honestly, there's not. I mean, I can like do some really no.
I believe that made me. That
Yeah, there's not a lot I can do about it. My advice was literally wait till it needs servicing again, and then call us. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, like sometimes a tiny leak coming from a very difficult to repair thing. You just
and the car holds 16 quarts of oil in a dry sump. Like it's not running out. The car runs fucking tits. Thursday is Countach drive exercise day this week. Luke says, lightly used manual BMW 228i's and Ford Fiesta STs are both $15,000. What would you pick for a daily driver and fun car? Backseat not necessary. Normal weather. You present a hard bargain, and I am going to side against the Fiesta ST for the first time ever on this show. The 228i is lovely.
It is a better overall car than the Fiesta, but I think fun for fun, the Fiesta is a little bit more manic and exciting when I've driven those two cars. Depends on how much you want, how much weight do you want to put on the fun category versus the daily category. Because the 228 is like a car you can grow with, take to nice dinner, take to an interview, take to a thing. You can drive it on the highway way more comfortably for a long period of time. It'll be much quieter inside.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the 228. I think the 228 is pretty rad and doesn't get enough love. For the record, do we have streaming issues at the 2 hour mark? Is that where it becomes a little iffy?
We had a problem once.
We're at 152.
We'll be okay. We've gone over it a couple times.
All right, cool. Let's see. Andrew says, did Toyota say anything about a track warranty like GM does? They didn't, and nobody asked. But they didn't. But they referred many times to customers taking their cars on racetracks. So,
which company? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Toyota, Supra.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't have any. I'd love to. I'll send a follow-up email about that. I'll ask the Toyota guys. I think they'd probably tell me, but they were pretty enthusiastic about customers going on racetracks. So I don't think they're going to ham fist people with a weird warranty thing. Peiko says, here's your Fiesta ST commission. He got one and another for teaching him how to drive stick. There you go. You know that my how to drive a stick video, which I fucking put off making for months out of laziness, is the #1 search result on Google when you Google how to drive stick.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's you did a very good series.
Awesome. That took me 16 minutes to make. It's the best payday I've ever fucking had. No, Paul's Garage was. Wiley says initial impressions of how the Jeep Gladiator looks. Zach?
It looks cool. It looks like a Jeep.
Jeep with a pickup
tough
truck.
as a Jeep with a pickup truck. Yeah, it looks tough, industrial.
I
mean, it looks.
I'm a big fan of how the new Jeeps look in general. Mm-hmm. I think they look really nice in the street. The ones I've seen around, I think they did a really good job of not fucking it up.
No, they did clever things like they spaced out the headlights more. They made the grill inserts a little bit wider. The LEDs on the fenders look weird at first when you see them. I think the proportions look really good, and it's the Jeeps are boxy anyway, so you add a box bed to it. It's like, yeah, that looks like it fits. Yeah. Makes sense.
Zach, are you going to go to the Gladiator Drive?
Yeah.
I think on May 30th, there's a Gladiator Drive in Malibu, and Zach is going. I am on my honeymoon. But Zach
I'll be off-roading in Malibu.
Caleb says, thoughts on the current Civic Si Coupe. Zach has a review up of it.
Yeah, watch the review. Good car. I don't like the way it looks, but really good deal. Handles good. It's quick, and it has lots of features inside.
Yeah.
It's a really good bargain. It is.
Yeah. Kitten Snipe, I live in LA. What roads suit the best suit the Fiesta ST? Latigo Canyon Road, Little Tahunga Canyon Road, Mount Wilson Road.
What else is tight?
GMR, Glendora Mountain
GMR
Road.
Is the best.
Yeah,
That's
GMR.
the best.
I would say GMR is probably the best. Glendora Mountain Road. Su Hong Kim says, car and driver just tested the Supra. It beat the 0 to 60 and skid pad result of the Cayman GTS. Thoughts?
Wow.
I think it suddenly makes it price competitive as it almost matches Corvette. I didn't know that, and that's excellent. Good for them. Toyota really set up that Porsche comparison. And I think that even if the numbers do match that Cayman, which if it does, that's fucking great. Good for Toyota.
Yeah, because that's a good car. The
Cayman GTS is a great car. Mm-hmm. But if it does match it, that's excellent. I still don't think the same customer... when people ask me about, should I get a Porsche or a Supra? I go, well, do you want a mid-engine driving experience or do you want a front-engine driving experience? These are very different experiences. Even if they can get around a racetrack in exactly the same amount of time, the way that the driver feels while doing it will be completely different.
Very true.
So I really think you should decide what type of experience you'd like to have and then shop accordingly. It'll really help you reduce your fucking choices.
Yeah, and also has a badge thing. One says Porsche, one says Toyota. There will be people that will think about that. And
if you're out there going, but Matt, I'm interested in the Supra, but I've never driven either a Corvette or a Cayman I can't do all your homework for you. Go to Turo, go to fucking Enterprise. It is impossible to get behind the wheel of some of this stuff. And if you're going to go out and buy a brand new $50,000 car and you don't know what you want, like it's worth a few $100 or even $1,000 or $2,000 to like go to a school or rent one or whatever, like just to find out maybe you don't like something.
And if you could go to the dealership and do it for free, but you might accidentally walk out with a car, whereas Turo has no pressure.
And I don't think a dealership drive. I don't think they're going to let anyone test drive Supras or we're not talking about Supras. We're talking about other stuff. But
it's a 5-minute drive around the block.
It's a 5-minute drive versus either a track or a canyon or some kind of using it in your own life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they really do, like the Supra and the Cayman. Like these are wildly different driving experiences, even if the numbers say they go the same speed around a track. But good for them if that's true from Car and Driver. Excellent. Low Strife bought an LS400. Congratulations. Jeremy says, I had a stock N54. This goes back to our original conversations, asking people how their N54s were. 170,000 miles on it, some issues with gaskets. Otherwise, just the fuel pump issue and the normal sensors and coils, etc., which at 170,000 miles are maintenance items, right?
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Before that, for sure.
Not as good as a Toyota, but better than an M car, he says.
That's good.
Okay. Zephyr says, I went from a Scat Pack Challenger to a Miata ND Club, which was a bad choice in Texas. In Texas, I agree. That's a lot of highway, a lot of droning.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of loud wind noise.
Loud.
in that.
Oh, it's so loud. The Miata's great.
I'm
but
looking
not
for my
that.
next daily driver. Autocross and lots of highway driving. I'm roughly Matt's size and proportions, 50,000 and under.
Corvette.
I mean, I would say a Corvette is a great, great choice for you. Let's see. 50,000 also, go back. It gets you a lot of Cayman. It gets you into used
That'd
M3.
Be really, a Cayman would be a great autocross car.
Yeah.
So would an M2.
M2 would be nice. 50,000, will get you a lightly used
gen,
M2. Yeah. It'll get you any number of M3s as well. I'm thinking what has really, my size. You're not going to like a Focus RS.
Chevy SS is too big.
Veloster N.
That
maybe.
car's fun.
Veloster N was pretty good. I think that'd be pretty mean in an autocross. Probably it's got a real diff.
Yeah,
Veloster N with the
diff.
optional diff.
Yeah, and we drove it for a couple hours.
Yeah,
on the highway.
that's
It was
pretty fun. Yeah, I would look at that. That's
and the Texas roads are way smoother than here.
Yeah, I would look at that.
Good call. Save a bunch of money.
Civic Type R. Lots of highway driving and autocross.
They don't like heat. They don't like warm days, in my experience.
Yeah, but autocross though, it's not a track day. It's an autocross. You're not gonna overheat an autocross. Who overheats an autocross?
True. You're doing lower speed, so you have less airflow, but it's a shorter run than a lap.
Throw it in the pile. Alongside,
Throw it in the pile.
STIs. STI is a decent highway car.
Yeah,
good
that's
for
true.
autocross too. Sharp, like something like that.
Way better.
Yeah. Did I say Supra yet? I mean Supra, right? If you can get in on one, yeah, get in a Supra would be a good choice here. I think it'd be fun in autocross.
Be very cool.
Yeah, a Supra is kind of like a much more refined and much faster Miata. I mean,
it is.
Going from a Miata to a Supra dynamically makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's the fancier BRZ.
Gabriel wants us to talk about Le Coultre. Jaeger Le Coultre. JLC watches.
Okay.
They also make a lot of gauges, right? You probably know, right? Check these out. Le Coultre gauges can be found in. Oops, that says gates. That's why. Gauges. Oh boy.
Gatuges.
Oh boy. You can find them on all kinds of Italian vehicles. Here you will find an Alfa Romeo, some
awesome,
Jaeger, some Jaeger gauges. Here you will
rounded
find
glass. That's very nice.
Here's some very vintage. See this logo you probably recognize, right? That's what we're talking about here.
Gotcha.
Yep. The watch folks are representing today in the super chat. Oh no. I think I just closed the YouTube window. Do you think we're still live?
I don't know.
Oh no. What happens if you close the YouTube window?
We're about to find out.
Oh no. Are we still live? Let's hope I didn't fuck this up.
Go to control room.
Let's hope I didn't fuck this up right now.
Okay, that's yeah.
I think we still are. I think I just had a major fuck up.
It's a good thing to know.
But where are we?
Live events.
Let me go back in. I'm sorry, folks.
Control room.
Control room. Are we still there? Live now. Fuck yeah. Wow.
Wait. Let's look at that. Let's check.
No.
Go
we're
down,
still
check
there.
chat. Like, go to regular chat and let's just make sure that people because there's a delay.
Y'all are good. Still live.
Whoa, cool.
Wow. All right.
That's good.
Wow.
That's
Almost a big fuck up
a
there.
smart thing that YouTube put in. They're like, hey, people.
That's
can do
very
this.
smart. Someone could close the tab and you still want to be streaming. That's
Shit.
good. Zach, do you want to do a one take in a 63 Buick Special convertible?
Hell yeah.
In Minnesota.
Nope.
John Jerick says, if cabin size isn't an issue, would you rather be driving the new Supra or an M2 competition? I find them to literally be interchangeable. Like what is not like M2 competition is probably stiffer. I haven't driven the competition, just a regular M2. You can get in a manual, right? Or is the competition only dual clutch?
Dual clutch.
Dual clutch only? Mm-hmm. Dual clutch probably beats ZF Auto by a little bit. But they're pretty much interchangeable. I think they really are. They're front rear, they're kind of similar power, to weight ratio.
I'm drawn to Supra now because it's the new kid on the block and it's different looking. Where the M2 and the other M2 and all the 3 Series, I think the Supra design is a nice sultry shape that hasn't been in cars for a while. So I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, the M2 is a little more sleepery. If in the right color, it kind of disappears in the crowd.
It does create from the profile, yeah, but from the front, it's definitely more aggressive looking. They're sharpening all the angles and the grills and stuff like that. So
I think I prefer the ingress and egress of the M2. Mm-hmm. But I'm bigger.
Understandable.
But he says it's hard for me to not say if cabin size is an issue. Honestly, 6 of one, half dozen the other.
Yeah.
I think whichever one speaks to you, you'd probably be happy.
You just got to
with.
drive them back to back to back to back.
Spencer says info on the vape battery made by Vessel, and they were gifts. I don't know, gifts for my groomsmen. It has my name engraved on it. Mm-hmm. It's gangster. Luxury vape pen batteries. That's what's happening in 2019. Last 3, and then we're calling this game. Brett says, after doing 15,000 miles in 6 months in my daily mini GP2. Wow, good for you. I'm looking for a second set of rims.
Because I shattered the first set.
Yep. Any ideas? 17 inches is a must. Thanks again. Minis are fucking terrible with big rims.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all the
No,
JCWs and the JCW GPs have 18s or bigger, and they're a disaster. 17s or 16s is what you want in your minis.
Totally.
I would say what looks great on a mini, I would say Turbo Max or 1552s look really nice on minis. I always like to recommend HRE wheels because they're light and they're strong. If someone makes a new version of a Panasport, that'd be pretty
Yeah,
rad.
those do look good.
That would be
With
pretty
some
cool.
Sidewall. That'd be
and
cool.
then, your standard kind of lightweight options, your SSRs, your Enkais, your OZs, track wheels, race wheels always look good. Light is always good.
I think minis look good with thicker spokes rather than thinner spokes. I don't know much about wheels. I know that.
The wheels I had on mine were the split forks, kind of, and there was a 10 split.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah, those look
Pretty
good
cool.
too.
Yeah, they're
Kind
chill.
of like a curve to it.
Yeah, but they were 18s, and I would never get them again. Yeah. Patrick says, I have a 2013 Mustang 5.0, tons of fun, and one of my dream cars. What do you think of the new GT500? Is 700 horsepower too much? Thoughts of no manual? I'm reserving judgment until I drive it. 700 horsepower is not too much if it's managed properly and if it's a well-rounded driving experience. I think
We're getting used to that level of thrust now. I think so. It's all like you said. It's about how do the gears engage? How does everything else work around it? How does it feel? How livable is it?
Yeah, 700 horsepower in a Mustang is not too much. 750 horsepower and 750 torque or whatever in a Corvette is scary as hell.
Now, why is it more manageable than Mustang?
Well, the Mustang's 500 pounds heavier to start with, and it also. Mustangs have so much drivetrain loss.
There's a little sag to it. A little cushion. You got a safety
They have
cushion.
so much drivetrain loss, and they have such bad aero that you're constantly. A Corvette has great aero, and a Corvette has less drivetrain loss, and a Corvette, is lighter, and so, it's a big difference. A Hellcat is fun, but kind of manageable on a racetrack.
Yes. If it weighed 1,000 pounds less, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
And a good time.
Yeah. So I don't think the GT500 is necessarily too much if thought is put to the overall driving experience.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I think it will be. Thoughts
Yeah.
of no manual? There's not a lot of manuals out there that can hold that kind of power. And one of them is being used in the Hellcat. I don't know why it's they're because it's a Tremec, and the GT350 has a Tremec. Maybe they just maybe they just have an older clientele that doesn't want that.
Yeah,
I think
I think it goes back to the pennies. Like, what does it cost them to develop that system? Do they want to spend it? What's the take rate? We like the manuals, but
as long as you can get a 350 and a 350R in a manual, like, I'm okay with that. I mean, look at Porsche. You can get a GT3 in many different ways in a manual. You want a Turbo S, auto only. They guarantee, people are going to be fucking like launching those things. You know what I mean? So they want to guarantee that people aren't destroying clutches.
Yeah, very true. With 700 horsepower, that is a lot to manage with the manual transmission. Like, let's be real. We all want to be superheroes and drive like, F1 drivers, but like, that's a lot. It would probably be more fun. Oh man, I'm going to get so much hate for this. Like, driving with two hands on the wheel. Like you said about the ZR1, if you have both hands on the wheel, it's a little bit easier, and it's 700 horsepower. That's a lot. Some people can handle it and enjoy it. A lot can't.
Yeah. Let's see. Last one. Bought an 89 Skyline GTST because of my one take. Oh, thank you. Well, GTSTs are cool.
Yeah.
Blew the oil pump after 8 months. I'm now swapping in an RB25. Do I think the market will go up for them? So here's the thing with R32s. And he's talking about an R32 GTST, which is the rear-wheel drive, narrow body. Let me find a good... What year did he say, 89?
89.
Let me get an accurate picture of an 89. Here's one. That's a little fucking picture, Jesus. That's like... Where's a GTST?
If you do tools, you can do large only.
I know. I'm looking for a GTST, though. Is that one? Oh, these pictures all kind of suck. So it's a Skyline with narrow body. Here, Zach, you find it. I'll talk. And the problem with R32s are they built a lot of them. Like they built like 60,000 plus R32 GTRs. And they built a lot of GTSTs. Like, that's a GTST sedan there, Zach. If we can find a coupe, but like that, that's GTR. But do I think they'll go up? Not really. I think they're bottomed out in terms of the fact that in terms of if you have a clean GTST that works and it's pretty much stock or has to the tasteful or desirable mods, fine, you can use that picture, Zach, whatever. Just really hard to find good pictures of this thing. But it's
that
bottomed
should tell
out.
You something
like,
about the market.
Yeah, like it's bottomed out at like 10 G's. You know what I mean? If you keep it nice, you can probably get your money back out of it down the line. But I think right now, and the rising tide does lift all boats, and GTRs are on the rise. And so, it's not a huge investment, so you're not going to get much back. Is your $10,000 car going to be worth $50 anytime soon? Probably not. Can you drive it for a bit, and if you take care of it, can you get your 10 back? Probably.
Mm-hmm. And if it's modded right and it's modded well and it's well done, I've heard the RBs also have oil issues. You got to like.
Well, that's what he said. He blew his oil pump.
Yeah, but he said he's swapping in a new RB.
Well, a GTST came with an RB20.
Yeah.
The 2-liter inline 6.
Right, he's going to RB25.
The 25 is the bigger 2.5-liter inline 6.
I thought even like the RB26s had an oil like pickup
it's the
issue.
pump,
like it
the pump shaft ring gear or something.
Right.
And you, the ones that Sean does or whatever, he inspects them, first. And if they're fucked, they get a motorsport grade gear. There is an upgrade. You upgrade, I believe, just to the R34 oil pump, which they make. And so I think it might be a pain in the ass to put in or something, but there is a sort of preventative maintenance item that you can do for that. All right. Anyway, there's now this dude's all upset because he thinks we won't come to Minnesota because we don't like Minnesota. Can we explain to you before we leave how videos work? Come to Minnesota to film a Buick. For us to do that, we have to spend at a minimum, because I just flew to Minnesota. It's fucking expensive. At a minimum, $500. That's a flight. It also takes all day. It also takes all day to get home. So now it takes 2 days and $500 out of pocket to film a 63 Buick Special, which I'm sure is very nice. But at about $350 per 100,000 views, we'd have to get 200,000 views just to make our out-of-pocket money back.
He says he's not
So
upset, boy.
that ain't happening.
Yeah. No,
That's
I
why.
love old cars. It's just far.
Yeah, it's not the car.
Just
it's
far.
the far. The car isn't the problem. Bring the car here. It's the far, not the car.
Don't drive a 63 Buick here. You'll
You might die.
You'll die.
You might die. All right. Well, that's our show, folks. Thank you for listening. If you were with us live, thank you for joining us live. If you weren't, thank you anyway. Next show, we got Thursday. This Thursday is the
Marlos.
16th. Carlos Lizago.
Yeah.
Who is coming to pick up his Tupperware. And also to do a show. Remember, he brought last time he did a show. He brought me like pastries, and he was like, "Yo,
yeah.
let me get my Tupperware back." I was like, "Well, I'll do a show." And then we got Johnny in studio, possibly with Jethro. Guaranteed Johnny,
Cool.
maybe also Death Row. That's going to be Monday evening, the 20th.
Awesome.
All right. That's the Smoking Tire Podcast. It's powered by Shout Engine. Get your own podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. You just need a microphone, a connection to the internet, and something to say. Check them out. Check out the Watch and Listen podcast. Obviously, a few of you want to talk about watches, and that's on YouTube and iTunes, etc. Myself and Cameron Weiss. Fake Zack Clapman on Instagram. The Smoking Tire on Instagram. And I'm going to leave you with my fucking Instagram ass home screen as I depart this bitch rapido. Have a good evening, folks. Goodbye.
Peace.